Peace. Peace, beautiful people. What's up? Um, Let me make sure I'm good to go here. Hold on, y'all. Y'all know me. I always gotta check my little settings, make sure that I'm not tripping, or make sure that I'm doing this stuff correctly. Um, I think I should be good to go. Salute, salute to anybody in the building. Let me go over to my chat and see if my people up in here. Peace, peace. I see some people in the building. Can you guys hear me? Put a 9 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Hopefully all is intelligible and coherent. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Everything is audible. Let me know if we're good to go, you guys. I see some people in the chat who have already left some comments. Salute to the first one in the building today, which is the richest one, as always, on deck with that love and that support. He says, sugar. Okay. Salute to you, King Rich. Salute to my beautiful sister Cameron Fields in the building. What's up, beautiful sis? Good to see you. She says, salute, beautiful sis. Peace and blessings to you and the chat. Working today, and we'll catch the replay. Thank you so much, sister, for popping in. Okay. Salute to the great Mike in the building. Nice to see you, King. Always on deck, 10 toes, as per usual. What's up, great Mike? Salute to the King and the Coach Hudson. Okay. He said, come on in, press the like button. Let's get it. Salute to the family. Salute to the queen of boxing media, SugarFreeMars. Okay, Coach. You stepping correctly, I see. You're not playing no games with me today, and I like that. Salute to the King Slim Hussein in the building. He says, sugar free, baby. Blessings. We live. You right about that, King. Salute to the King Stephen in the building. Peace be on to you as well, King, as always. Salute to NBA D Nice in the building. Thank you so much for joining, King. He's always standing 10 toes with the girl Sugar Free. So it's so nice to see you in the building. As always, King D Nice. Thank you. Let's get into a little bit of what I guess that I had in mind over the past week, I guess we could say. As you guys make your way into the room, I guess I'll warm the palate a little bit as you guys make your way in. Now, I had a little bit of, things on my mind this week, especially considering the passing, I guess, if you will, of George Foreman, the GOAT, right? The legend, the giant, one of our beautiful kings in the sport. And I was just looking at the landscape of the current boxing scene, and I guess the era, that he comes from, the cloth that he comes from, and how his whole personality in the sport was pretty much surrounding the theme, I guess, in his legacy. One could posit that, he really upheld the theme of renewal and rejuvenation, if you will, George Foreman. And I don't know, something about those words stuck out to me in recent days while I was thinking about what it was that I wanted to discuss with you guys. And it really got me to thinking about the parameters that are set within boxing right now, I guess, and the ability for fighters to assume a sense of dawning, the dawning of themselves, the walking into and claiming a process of rejuvenation in the sport, right? As sportsmen, as athletes in this current climate, in this day and age. So if you guys know me, you know that I'm always looking in one way or another, right? Toward the horizon of boxing, right? That is to say that for me, it isn't ever about the momentary, okay? It isn't ever about the fleeting or the transient. You understand? I really do enjoy the journey. It's not about the momentary, the 5 minutes, the trend. I'm not interested in the transient, the things that are, kind of come and go on a come and go basis. I really do enjoy the long haul. I enjoy the process. You know what I'm saying? I invest in the fighters that I resonate with. I listen to their words. I like to get them to know their motives. I like to see their heart. I like to watch their progress. You know what I'm saying? I like to see them overcome. I like the ups and downs. I like the journey of it. I don't live in a make-believe land, where, I'm just going by a highlight reel perception of a fighter, It's the heart. It's their story. It's the things that they have to say. It's the things that they have to reclaim for themselves and certify for themselves that I enjoy watching. And I guess I say that to say that I find the current climate and landscape of boxing at this particular moment, I feel like it prohibits a respect level from fans, right? I feel like something is prohibiting a respect level to be had between the fans and the fighter, right? Too often, I think we get incited and galvanized and swept into all types of gossip, a frenzy of gossip, all types of censuring in one degree or another of one fighter over this one, putting this fighter, over that one, and so forth and so on. Or that we get too caught up in a microwave highlight reel digestion, mode of digestion, right? Fighters become memes and video clips instead of being viewed as warriors. You guys know the up and down, right? So when I think about boxing, I think about if it's possible to see a turn or a return, if you will, right? To a point where despite a fighter, facing and coming across ups and downs in their career and on their journey, that despite all of that, there is still something possible to be made of them, despite all of those challenges that they come across, impasses that they find themselves in front of, right? A place where the unexpected is welcomed. Is that possible in boxing in this current era, you guys? Where the unexpected is welcomed, where, we're not living by a storybook, line by line script that we all have to follow. And if you veer off the course, you're considered no good, right? Where a person can still avouch for themselves, a place beyond what we perceive at face value. They can go beyond that. We don't have to take everything at level 1, right? Is there room in this sport for that? Can we supersede that logic and get to a point where, we are not living on a face value basis, and where the athletes aren't accepting such as far as their athleticism and their claim to their legacies in this sport, where they are not worried, about these perceptions and these cloaks that are placed around them by the boxing media, by themselves and otherwise? I say that I like to look to the horizon because that is where you get a sense of the endless. That's in anything in life. When you look towards the horizon of something, you are looking towards the endless. You are looking towards continuity. You are looking towards changeability and fluidity. You understand? And so in that is continued life. There is the possibility of longevity. There is the possibility of being made and remade. There's the possibility of laying new grounds and going beyond places you've ever been or thought were possible for yourself. That's why my eyes are always on the horizon in boxing and in whatever. I like the mindset of that changeability. I don't think I don't like anything that isn't growing. In other words, boxing is no different from me. I bring the same approach here that I would anywhere else. I want to see an opening up of the sport. And I think that I touch on this pretty frequently, as you guys must know by now, right? It's a theme that is central, to my boxing view, right? It's very important that I see that being lived out and claimed by the fighters that I back and that I support, because this is, after all, a sport of passion. It's a sport of action. It's a sport of mobility. It's a sport of dominance. And I think that there's been a little bit of a weird position that in the current boxing, the fighter in this current landscape finds themselves within. I'm not with the formalities of staying in line, you guys. That's not something that I care about, right? I think that much of the landscape in boxing right now places both unspoken and spoken demands, real talk, on fighters to refrain from their own regeneration. Do you guys get that sense that this landscape is stifling the regeneration and certification of fighters? Particular fighters. It's not for everyone, but particular fighters, right? In that fighters are reduced to fitting within a tale, to fitting within a fiction that suits, I don't know, a marketing need or a headline or, a title to click on, etc., etc. So that the full expression of what we as avid boxing supporters want to see and want to support of these fighters, it threatens to never become actually fully realized because we are working within the parameters and the limits of a myopic view. You know what I mean? Do you guys think that there is a push for revitalization and reawakening in the sport right now in this new era? Do you guys get that sense? Like, oh, okay, well, we are looking to awaken within these fighters a sense of greatness reminiscent of, the old days, right? We're looking for them to reach, new heights and even go beyond the forefathers like George Foreman and all the beautiful brothers that we can name. Do you guys feel like there's a push for that type of energy in this new era? I honestly don't. I mean, save, of course, for, the ones that take it upon themselves to embark on that and claim that path for themselves, right? They're going to do what they got to do. But the overall feeling and sentiment in boxing is not to reawaken or ignite or incite any type of greatness in my particular view, right? It seems to me that the fiction dictates quite the opposite at this point. For example, if you have a loss, all of a sudden it's impossible for you to be, an elite, for example, right? If you have a loss, there's no way that you can be reclaimed as a fighter, for an example. There's no coming back, right? You cannot proceed. You cannot enter, into this or that cloth. You'll be relegated over here to the side, with whatever, just because you came across a challenge. The narrative dictates that if you box, for example, 12 rounds as an elite black fighter, somehow you are boring and therefore unworthy of accreditation, right? It's these types of tropes and narratives that are stifling a sense of regeneration in the sport, in my view. This narrative also posits that there is no such thing as a big fight, quote unquote, between two black elite males, and that there is no room for it in the sport because it is impossible that two black men can sell. Right? Do you see how stifling these types of mindsets are that are pervading in the sport, that are ever pervasive still in this current climate? When do we get rid of that particular dialogue, right? So that there's already an embedded fiction in the language that restricts and contracts and subdues and essentially eliminates the full stimulation of and fecundity within boxing. Boxing isn't at a state of overflow. It's in a state of paucity and scarcity. Why is that? Why is it like that in 2025, you guys? Haven't we just come off of, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of anticipating and awaiting the same fights? What's going on? What's really elevating and who is looking to go beyond the point of where we've been? I want to see a change in dynamic, okay, within the norms of, readily accepted rhetoric in this sport. I want to see a change in that. I'd like to see a change in the mentality that childishly suggests that a fighter isn't supposed to be challenged. Where the fuck did that mentality come from, y'all? A fighter isn't supposed to be challenged. What is this mentality that we see popping up time and time again and being upheld across social medias, across, fans, and even some fighters holding that position that we know good and well of? What's going on? I think that some of the fights that we saw last evening, challenged some of those notions. People like Michaela Mayer, who showed up and showed out. People like Tevin Farmer, who displayed a hell of a lot of heart in that ring last evening, right? And a whole slew of fighters that we will get into in due time. But this is the mindset that is working against those particular types of notions. And that's the mindset that I want to see continued in the sport, right? They displayed to me that one is never beyond, the need of setting the terms of their own path. That's what some of the fights last night reminded me of, right? To enter and pursue personal greatness, you guys, is to embrace the concept of persistence, the concept of variability and continuity, and the ability to be changed by the greatness that these people are so, obsessed with talking about. Oh, the change, the greatness. I'm pursuing greatness. But are you willing to be changed by that, as we touched on in our last discussion last week? I'm ready for the dawn to be brought in by these new fighters. I want to see them walking into their dawning. Because what else does the dawn bring when we think about it conceptually? But the perception of renewal, establishment, new grounds to be laid. What else does the dawn represent when we talk about the dawn, right? So that the difficulties and obstacles, in my view, that a fighter faces isn't only necessary, but it's a doorway into the next level. There is no way that you can bypass challenge and be able to, walk scot-free into the development of yourself, to the upper echelon of yourself. You can't do that without your obstacles and your difficulties. So what is the logic that is saying that a fighter mustn't be challenged or stay away from challenge, avoid and evade challenge? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work like that. Difficulties and obstacles are not finalities. They are doorways. We should be running towards those particular challenges so that we can be made men and women. Facts or no, y'all? This is a part of that warrior heart that I be talking about. The challenge is the doorway. You get beyond this, who knows what's behind that door, except for the greatness of yourself. And even further and further than that, however far you are willing to go, is how far that extends, right? So the question is, what will one do? And how will one choose to set their terms for that next stage when they decide to walk through that door? Right? That's what was on my mind these past few days. And I think that ties, wonderfully into some of the fights that we saw last evening. I'll touch on a few that I managed to catch. And I think it's going to touch upon a lot of the other topics that I'm going to get into with you guys pertaining some other fighters as we proceed. Now, let's start with this. Shushu Carrington grabbed a wonderful W. I just want to touch really briefly on some of the fights last evening. He grabbed a W, you guys, against, I think his name was Enrique Vivas, right? That was his name. Got his W, right? Scored a third round knockout victory. The damage was done early. I think he knocked Vivas down in that second round. Okay, put him to the canvas. Shushu looked really good. Okay, I think sometimes he fights a little bit too. His style is definitely, I like his style, but sometimes I see him fighting very, very high with his head up, at times. Do you guys notice that about Shushu? But nonetheless, he did a really great job. There were some moments of exchange in that fight, but Carrington most certainly got the better of the onslaught and of the exchange whenever that took place. So I'm interested in seeing what he's going to bring to the table. against high level competition, you guys. It's definitely time for him to get in there with some notable names, right? He needs to get in the fire so that he can sharpen his steel. I'm ready for the next level of Shushu Carrington, right? Talking about next levels and entering into the dawning of oneself and setting one's path and terrain, claiming territory. It's time for this young man to do that, okay? Because he certainly has the ability to do so. I'm definitely ready to see that. Now, I think this fight was an elimination bout for the WBC strap. So he's certainly nearer to the attainment of his goal of getting a title shot. He definitely made it clear that he is dead set on grabbing a title shot. Did you guys see his post-fight interview? In that post-fight interview, he sounded the alarm and he called for every bit of the smoke with the competition around him. He said, Nick Ball, I wants that. Cool boy Steph, I wants that. Any champion can get it. He was definitely on his AB shit. Anybody can get it, and I loved to see it. He said, I'm top 5 in all of the sanctioning bodies right now. Stop playing with me. Let's run it. Let's get this work. I was super excited seeing, his heart and seeing, that he's calling for the smoke with the best around him. That's exactly what should be going on. So that when I see it, I get very, very excited to see it because it seems like, for some reason, oddly enough, we don't see enough of that going on in the current landscape of things. So definitely glad that he grabbed his W. He looked really good. He won in dominant fashion. And I can't wait to see what he will look like against the more notable competition. Cool boy Steph is nothing to play with. Okay. Nick Ball. Real talk. I liked Nick Ball. But after his recent spectacle in the ring where he's kicking people, I can't say that I really rocks with him like that anymore. You know what I mean? Not as tough as I once did. I think he's still a good fighter, but I don't like the antics of the kicking, and that shit was wild and professional. I don't play that shit. But yeah, I think that's a good competition for Shushu. All of these people, line them up. Let this man eat. Let this man get on a hunt. It's time for that. I can't wait to see what's next for the king. Now, Brian Norman. Speaking of being on a hunt, B motherfucking Norman snatched a vicious victory over Derek Cuevas by knockout. And it seems like 3 times has been the charm, right? Last night, because he also got the 3rd round stoppage and TKO victory. And I think that was exactly what type of showing Brian Norman needed to put on for his first fight of the year. Right? This is his first fight of the year, and he certainly added an exclamation point at the end of the statement that he made last night. What y'all guys think about the B. Norman's performance? Early in the first round, he seemed to have gotten buzzed, I think, by Cuevas, but he quickly recovered, as a master should, in the face of adversity, right? He adjusted, and he put the pressure on Cuevas moving forward. Of course, this makes things a little bit more interesting now that he grabbed this victory. Especially considering that we are awaiting the return of Boots Ennis in the ring in a couple of weeks, right? With his unification bout that he's got coming up against Stanionis. So that now that B. Norman grabbed his W is definitely like, are we gonna, you know what I'm saying? Are we gonna finally see Boots get in the ring with this man? You feel me? The welterweight division is in a very intriguing place right now. Intriguing place. A lot of moving parts are on the brink, and I'm just ready to see things come to fruition and become materialized among the champions at welterweight, right? And then, of course, certainly when we consider the arrival of people like Devin Haney into the division, Teofimo Lopez, etc., into the 147 division, the conversation as a whole gets stirred up, right? So there's a lot of brewing under the surface happening at 147 that's got me interested and that has got my eyes peeled and locked on this particular weight class. I think Brian Norman is a very dangerous fighter, you guys. I really do. He's a dangerous fighter. He's very much underrated because he is not widely known, but he's certainly somebody to not take lightly. I will just say that. He's somebody to watch out for, and he is someone to never assume as being light work or easy work by any stretch, right? B. Norman showed up. He did his thing. I'm wondering if a unification match between Brian Norman and Barrios could be next, right? Line it up. Line it up. They already began, getting the unifications underway with Boots and Stanionis. Let's get the other two. Why not? What do we, what would be the holdup? I'd love to see that fight next between Barrios and Norman. It's certainly time for these champions to begin colliding. I don't want to see any stale, activity, stagnant activity, you guys. Literally, 135 has got me so sick to my stomach. Anywhere I see inactivity and lack of action, I'm just through, completely through. I don't want any part of it. So hopefully 147. Well, actually, they are getting it busy with the Boots and Stanionis fight. So that's a great sign of life for this particular division. So, hopefully they stay on that same path and get these champions colliding with each other. You know what I mean? Because Kings can no longer remain on their separate posts, boasting about being the king of their particular hill. No, they got to hash it out and they got to sharpen steel with each other. That's just how it must be. So I can't wait to see that. For now, the King Brian Norman, is looking good. He's holding on to his crown in victory. And I look forward to seeing what is to come from him for sure. Right? Wonderful fight. I thought he did great. Did you guys like that fight? I did. Now, let's get into this fight here. What? Talking about, the dawn. Talking about a return and a claiming of the solidification of oneself. What? Mikaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan. Now, this fight was shrouded in heat. Let's just say that. Coming off of their initial match last fall. You guys remember that first fight that they had? These women have been holding a hell of a grudge, hell of amount of tension and animosity for each other for the past year. Of course, there was the super curious, let's just say that, super curious and suspicious paint throwing controversy, right? That left Miss Ryan covered in red paint last year while she was on her way to the venue, I believe, for their initial fight last year. That whole thing was circulating. There were suspicions that, maybe Mikaela Mayer was behind the ordeal. I guess she tried to, throw sneak shots like, yeah, I know she was behind this. And Mikaela was like, listen, son, I don't give a damn about these accusations. I had nothing to do with that. Okay, there was no possible way that I could have been a part of that. I was already at the event, when the alleged happening took place. Keep my name out of it, right? So the mystery of the paint scandal was never solved, right? But what was solved was the smoke time that Mikaela was on and the demon time that she showed up to put Ryan on notice about. What? Mikaela Mayer was on straight up demon time, and I loved the performance that she put on. Real talk, they both was throwing them things. They looked crazy in that ring, but Mikaela Mayer, of course, is an elite fighter, and she just took it over the hill the way that she should have. She came and she shut all of the bullshit all the way down like a real one should. Mikaela is hands down, you guys, one of my favorite female fighters. Okay, she's defensively sound. She's assertive. She knows how to turn up that heat. She displays exceptional IQ. Okay, and she got that dog. You understand what I'm saying? The woman is bad. I love Mikaela. She's got more balls than Tank Davis. That's all I kept thinking when I was watching that fight. I was like, God damn, this woman is something serious. That woman had all types of blood in her eye from that nasty cut that she had. That woman spit that blood out in the ring and fought 10 toes like a soldier. You hear me? She looked like a G in that ring. She was sitting on them punches and letting them things go. She said, what cut? Turned down for what? That's the type of heart that I love to see in the ring. What a fantastic performance, you guys. Did you guys see that? Credit also, like I said, to Sandy for showing grit and heart, especially in that 8th round, where I think she exhibited some really good body work. She let some combinations go. She looked really good and aggressive at particular moments, and especially where Mayer began to look a little bit fatigued, right? She held her own, but there were definitely moments where Mayer began to get fatigued when Ryan started turning up that pressure, right? And Ryan looked really good. But all in all, it was undeniable to me that Mikaela was the cleaner and more sound boxer. overall, right? Her precision with the body work was elite. Her footwork was clean. She held down, that ring like a G. She established her generalship as she should have, and she put on a stellar performance. I definitely rocks with the battle style of Mikaela Mayer. She's definitely an elite boxer. Wonderful fight, you guys. These women came to put everything on the table. No stone was left unturned. Now, in her post-fight interview, I believe that she mentioned that she wants Undisputed next. I'm like, let's go. Let's get this popping, right? Right? She is leaning into her path. She is claiming her place as she should, as a warrior should. So congrats to the warrior goddess, Mikaela Mayer. Shout out to her on a wonderful victory. And I also can't wait to see what is next for her, right? So this is what I'm talking about path setting. This is what we spoke about last week about the setting of intentions, not leaving anything up in the air and vague and mystified, but bringing the intentions into the forefront and claiming one's place and solidifying one's place in everything that they do, everything that they set out to do. That is what I like to see, right? We definitely need to see more of that all around in boxing. Now, let's get into this fight with Tevin Farmer, okay? Tevin Farmer, real talk, you guys, is such an underrated fighter in my view. And I think he's been for quite some time. The man is a straight up warrior, okay? He had a broken hand earlier in the rounds, very early in the rounds. I believe it was the first round, if not the second. He hurt his hand. And despite that, he managed to make some amazing adjustments throughout this fight that he went 12 rounds within. 12 rounds within. Okay? Despite his injury. Amazing adjustments were made that saw him quickly balancing the scales, which at a particular point seemed improbable for him to do because there was an onslaught coming from Zepeda that, had him looking rocky in the earlier half of the fight, right? But he prevailed. He more than prevailed. He ended up looking quite dominant in the second half of the fight. Interesting fight that we saw last night. You cannot question the heart of Tevin Farmer. I don't want to hear it. He showed full and well why he's been avoided for all of these years. He showed full and well all of the experience he's acquired over all of these years, right? Let's not forget that this is the man Tank Davis evaded, despite being called out repeatedly by Farmer, right? Let's not be forgetful. Tevin Farmer, I think he won the first fight, right? Between he and Zepeda. I think he won that first fight. I think that fight, when was that fight? Back in November sometime? I edged the fight to Farmer, real talk. Without a doubt. Farmer won that fight. And in the second performance, I wouldn't have been mad if it was ruled a draw, right? Because it became to be very, very close. Zepeda, I guess you could say, swung, the first half. And, it was evident that Farmer had a resurgence of energy and life and dominance in that second half. So I could have seen the fight being ruled a draw. But real talk, I don't think that Farmer could have gotten that victory in a performance that was taking place in Mexico, in a performance that didn't see him clearly knocking Zepeda out. I think it was just, that was just how the tables were going to be set as far as getting the decision. Zepeda was favored in that fight. He's on home turf. He got the, announcers and everybody, the crowd, everybody in his pocket. So, I don't think that if being that Farmer didn't leave or make an emphatic mark, I don't think that it was going to sway in his direction as far as the decision. But that fight, in my view, should have been deemed a draw. And I can't say that I would have been mad at a trilogy, you guys. What do you guys think about that? You know what I mean? Because to me, he won that first fight. Let's say the second fight was a draw, make a deciding, bout between them. Why not? I've seen worse fights, or lackluster fights get to be made 3 times. So what's the problem here? I wouldn't have minded that at all. You know what I mean? So now let me share this view with you as well. Zepeda is not an interesting fighter to me, you guys. I just got to keep it a buck about that. Okay, that man is going to be exposed even beyond what Tevin Farmer did with one hand when he gets in the ring with the likes of, say, Keyshawn or Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? He has absolutely no feet, William Zepeda. He's all pressure. You know, he definitely lets his hands go in that respect. And so I guess to that regard, some people may deem him to be exciting to watch. But with all that pressure, he makes no statement. Is it just me or am I tripping? The man throw all them damn hands, but with no significance. Tevin Farmer was in there with an injured hand from round 1, and William Zepeda could not make him submit. He just couldn't do it. It didn't matter what he was throwing at him. The kitchen sink, the bathroom tub, the stove, the goddamn, the garbage can. What's going on here? The man was in there injured and he couldn't put him down. He could not keep Tevin at bay. Okay? Once Tevin Farmer planted his feet and made those adjustments and started applying his own pressure, you know, Zepeda was virtually, defenseless. What was going on here? Now, apparently, when we look at it from that particular view, Zepeda has no power. Facts or no, you guys? All the shit that man was throwing in that ring, he couldn't put Tevin down. He couldn't make Tevin submit. What's going on here? Are we going to call Zepeda pillow goddamn fisted? Let's talk about it, you guys. Let's talk about this. Are we going to call Tevin William Zepeda pillow fisted? Are we going to attribute that moniker to this man after the performance that we saw last night? Is that going to be his new moniker? Zepeda pillow fisted? Is that what we're going to call him? Where are all the people that love to throw that term around? Where they at? I'm talking to them. All that hitting and swinging he was doing with no bite or no steam enough that could put Farmer down, an already injured Farmer, at least in the hand. Did you see the body work that man was applying to Tevin Farmer? Did y'all see him going to the body all night long from start to finish of that fight? And he couldn't do anything to make him quit? Nothing? How was it possible that Tevin Farmer stood there taking the onslaught of body shots, body shot after body shot after body shot, to no avail? Listen, Tevin Farmer is either, a lion made of steel, and or Zepeda ain't packing enough punch to put anything serious down. Which one? Which one? The fuck? What's really going on here, you guys? Now, of course, Tevin Farmer was absolutely resolute on not breaking. Okay, so we can't overlook that fact, the will of Tevin Farmer. That man refused, quite literally. He refused to give in to anything that Zepeda was doing. Outright refused. And not only did he refuse, but he overcame the pain of the onslaught and his hand. And the best work that Zepeda had to throw at him. He overcame all of that shit in real time. Don't motherfucking play with Tevin Farmer's name out here, y'all. I know he's not a poster boy or a poster child or a sweetheart. Put some respect on that man's name. Okay? He put up a very interesting fight. And it showed in real time the levels of warriorship and how one claims and solidifies turf, whether they walk away with a victory or not. You see the character and the heart of a fighter when they are in battle. And Tevin Farmer most certainly showed up and showed out last night. Okay? I think it was in one of the earlier rounds where it was said that his corner was telling him to take a knee when he was receiving the onset of flurries from Zepeda. The corner's like, take a knee if you need to, take a knee, you know what I'm saying? Because they're thinking that he is being overwhelmed and that it is too much for him. Tevin Farmer refused. Do you hear this? He absolutely refused. He said, fuck that knee. I'm going to battle. I'm standing 10 toes. I don't give a fuck what this motherfucker throw at me. You hear me? Talk to me fucking nice, y'all. That shit gets me hyped. That's what I like to see. He refused to take a knee. He didn't give a damn what his corner was telling him. I'm not taking shit. Whatever I'm taking, I'm giving it back. Yeah, I got to take a couple. I'm going to give a couple too. Watch this. I like that shit. Put some respect on that man's name. Do you know the level of heart one has to assume to have that mentality mid-battle? I mean, here we are a month removed from a fight that we just saw a motherfucker take a knee for getting the motherfucking grease in his eye. Did we not just see a motherfucker take a knee because he whipped his hair back and forth? He whipped his hair back and forth and some grease got in his eye. Don't play with me out here, y'all. Tevin Farmer went in there and handled business like a real warrior should. Take motherfucking notes. That's what these people out here need to be doing. Take notes from Tevin. Take notes from Michaela. What's really good out here? Talk about warriorship. This is what it takes. This is what it looks like. When you stand in 10 toes, in victory or in defeat, on paper or on the books or whatever have you. This is what it looks like when you stand in 10 toes in that ring. Okay? Regardless of the challenges in front of you. This is what it looks like. Very interesting fight. I'd like to see what's next for Tevin Farmer. Even though he didn't walk away with the victory, he didn't get the dub last evening. He's a savage, you guys. I've always respected Tevin Farmer as a fighter. And it's great to see him back on the circuit. And I don't want to see him be, dwindled down into, some type of gatekeeper or some type of, whatever the hell have you. He is a real certified fighter. He's a real warrior. And I want to see him in there with more elite competition. He's more than worthy of getting in there with the other elites. That's for certain. I'd love real talk to see a fight with Tevin Farmer and Shakur Stevenson. Tevin Farmer will be one of the most acclaimed names that Shakur can put on his resume at this particular point. If this motherfucker was willing to fight goddamn Joe Cordina, what the fuck is the problem with adding a Tevin Farmer on your resume? Hello? Am I tripping or not, y'all? And wasn't Joe Cordina coming off of a goddamn knockout loss when that fight was, set in place those few months ago? Miss me with the bullshit. I'd love to see Shakur Stevenson and Tevin Farmer. I most certainly think that he should still face even Tank Davis. Who the fuck wouldn't want to see a Tevin Farmer Tank Davis fight? That fight between them and their history has been brewing for so many goddamn years. I don't even know how many years it's been now. Okay? What's going on? Tank can go pull up a goddamn 130 pounder, fight Farmer. You got history with him. You have storyline with him. There is foundation. There is soil there between you and Farmer. Why not? You know what I'm saying? So that Tevin Farmer still stands to be, competing with the best around him. I'd love to see that for him, despite him not walking away with the dub last night. Speaking of which, why didn't Zepeda, you guys, now that I think about it, why didn't Zepeda, in his post-fight interview, call out Shakur Stevenson? Did you guys notice that? Zepeda, upon, being officially, deemed the victor, in his post-fight interview, he called for no smoke with Shakur Stevenson. Is he not his mandatory or something like that right now? Haven't they been going back and forth for, I don't know, a year and a half now, back and forth about Shakur possibly fighting Zepeda, and Zepeda, whatever the hell the case was with the fight in between and all this, that, and the third. Not that it's a fight that I give a fuck about, real talk, if I'm being honest. But why wouldn't you be calling for the smoke with the champion that's certainly had your motherfucking name in his mouth for all of this goddamn time? What is going on? You're not going to call out Shakur Stevenson? And get this, the interviewer, whoever that lady is, I forget her name, Roja or something like that, she didn't even ask about Shakur Stevenson. Did you guys notice that? is it that this man could be in the ring and not be asked about the number one fighter that his name has been in circulation with for the past year or over a year now? Well, I was just like, what is this? There's no mentioning of Shakur there. Nobody gonna say Shakur's name right now? What's going on here? Shakur has been calling Zepeda's name to the mountaintop for I don't know how long. And he didn't say a peep about Shakur Stevenson last night. No mention whatever, you guys. I found that to be extremely weird. He didn't mention any champion, did he? Not that I recall, because I kind of tuned out once I didn't hear Shakur's name. I'm like, the fuck? What's going on here? You know what I mean? At least call out this man's name. Aren't you supposed to be calling for smoke? Or am I tripping? What kind of pussy shit is that? You know? And this is somebody that they are holding up as something special in the division. Oh, William Zepeda. Yes, William Zepeda. You hear his name all the time. Y'all, I'm not impressed. I don't know what that man is going to do next. Like I said, I can't say that I'm in anticipation of a fight of his. I'm not really, well versed in that man's career. I really only really know him because Shakur was putting a lot of pressure on getting that fight with him. And of course, he was, ranked in pretty much all of the sanctioning bodies. So of course, he would catch one's attention. But as far as being on Smoke Time or being notable or being of some type of valor or character, I cannot say that at all for a goddamn William Zepeda. Anyway, moving on. I figured I'd touch a little bit on, the subject of last night's fight, of course, because they just happened and are probably fresh in everyone's mind. Let me check in with my chat before I go into the next matter of discussion. Salute to anybody in the building, anybody that I may have missed. Let me scroll through my chat, see who's in the building. Salute to the King Kano in the building. What's up, my good brother? Nice to see you. Snoopy, Dream Team, the King Snoopy Mac is in the building. Salute. My beautiful big sister, Chiquila Fields, the Queen, the Goddess is in the building. Salute to you. Peace and prosperity to you, beautiful Queen. Oh, we got the lovely King Freedom's March in the building. Salute, King. Nice to see you. Thank you for showing up today. I appreciate it. My Leo twin, Daryl, is in the building. Salute, lovely Daryl. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Salute to the King Steph Brown. I see you. We got the King Mo. Okay, now, my people are showing up. I'm happy. I'm excited. Salute to the King AJ. Thank you so much for showing up today. I appreciate you spending some time with us. Salute to everybody in the building. The King Slim Hussein, the King in the building. Salute. Salute everybody. Yeah, what did you guys think about, I can't forget to shout out my brother PG. Salute to you, King PG. Nice to see you. And the King Darius Gilead, the beloved Darius, as I call him. Salute to you, King. Thank you so much for coming, you guys, and anybody that I may have missed. Before I forget, you guys, I am so not good with this. I'm still very much in practice of this whole live thing, even though I've been doing it for, I guess, maybe going on 2 months. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe. If you haven't, share the content. Definitely smash the like button because we got to get a little bit of a algorithm popping for us, right? So we want people to come into the room and join us in our discussion today. So I definitely invite all of you to hit the like button. Definitely don't be afraid to join. If you want to become a member of my page, hit the join page and the details are there for you. Definitely consider that. Definitely don't be afraid to paint the room for me with some color in the chat. I would definitely appreciate the support, as I always do. And yeah, we talk boxing over here with my beautiful family. So yeah, let's see what some people are saying. Did y'all, what did you guys think about those fights? What did you guys think about Michaela Mayer? What did you guys think about Farmer's performance? Did you think that he edged that? I know it could be considered a close fight. Did you guys think that should have been ruled a draw? Do you guys think that, Zepeda was rightfully deemed the victor? What do you guys think? I'm interested in seeing what my family is talking about. Let me see. The King PG says, I'm going a little bit up, by the way, you guys, just so you know, and then I'll make my way down. Zepeda, King PG says, Zepeda is easy work for the elite. You ain't never lie about that, son. They're going to expose him, you know what I'm saying, even beyond what Farmer did with an injured hand. That man had absolutely no, and did you see how gassed he was getting towards the end? You know what I'm saying? If Tevin Farmer's hand was healthy, I think he could have probably stopped Zepeda, real talk. You know what I mean? Nah. Zepeda's not getting in there with the likes of a Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn will demolish that damn man. Right? The King Slim says Zepeda low-key buns, though. Facts, King Slim. Salute to the King, Justin McGee in the building. Thank you so much for coming, King. I appreciate you. My twin says, makes you wish other fighters won't take a knee. Facts, King. Facts. King Mo says, Blue Magic 1-0. Facts. Blue Magic is undefeated. Dax is undefeated. Soul Glow is undefeated out here. Murray's motherfucking Grease is undefeated out here, King Mo. What? Shit. Let me see everything. DAZN has biased reporters. Yes, they do, King Stephen. Yes, they definitely do. Especially when it comes to those the Mexican, and I think that woman, whatever her name is Mexican as well. You know what I'm saying? I've heard her say, a few, eyebrow raising things about fighters, black fighters in the past. That's like, girl, what? I'm gonna need you to check yourself before I do it for you. Let's see what the people are saying. King Darrow says, don't be surprised if DAZN and Golden Boy start protecting him like they did Mugia. Oh, absolutely. That's already in motion. If you are talking about Zepeda twin. Yeah, that's already in motion. 1000%. Oh my goodness. We got our first super chat, and it's a big super chat. Okay. The King Tevis Smith. My brother is in the building. He says, salute to the beautiful queen. Thank you so much, Tevis. I really appreciate you. Thank you. I think it's been some time since I've seen you in the chat. Thank you so much, first of all, for even joining, for even stopping in to the room with us today. I appreciate your presence, King, and I most certainly appreciate the support that you show to the channel. Thank you so much, King. Thank you. The King Mike says, I had Farmer 7-5. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. That could have easily been, swayed in that direction, 7-5. Because he was surely looking dominant. Okay? He was surely looking dominant in that second half of the fight, for sure. Twin says, I would have given it a draw. Yeah, Twin. Me too. I think that's the least it should have been. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't edge it out to, Farmer or whatever, I think that it should have been a draw. I would have not had a problem with the trilogy because the first fight was so controversial and close. And then here they are again with another goddamn close fight. I think a trilogy made the most sense to implement. They're running away from that because I think they would just want to move Zepeda along into whatever field that they, already have set in place for him. But, certainly a trilogy was due, in my opinion. No cap. You know what I mean? Salute to the King Bean Pro in the super chat with a 5-piece. Thank you so much, King, for being here, of course. And thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate it. He says, salute, Queen. Salute to you as well, King. Thank you again. Appreciate you very, very much. Yeah, facts, great Mike. The lady on DAZN does suck. I've heard her say, quite a few things. I'm like, what? What you say? What you mean? You know what I mean? But let's get into this. Now that we got the, my fight review and quick perceptions about last night's fight card. Salute to everybody who got their victories or didn't. You know what I'm saying? They showed up and showed out. And I think it was overall entertaining. Definitely entertaining. Now, so the basis that pretty much that I wanted to get into today was, like I said, in the onset of the discussion, when I gave the preface earlier, about renewal, rejuvenation, a sense of walking into the dawning and claiming the dawn of one's path, walking fully in and leaning fully into that path. Speaking of which, okay, as we're on the theme of a new day, let's get into some other news and topics that I found noteworthy over the past week, you guys. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have heard this, but it has been reported that the king, the bronze bomber Wilder himself, will be making a return to the ring. Did you guys hear this? Did you guys come across this? Wilder is a man who apparently is not stuck on yesterdays. Okay, that man says, I am making a return. I don't give a damn what happened yesterday, yesteryear, yesterweek, yesterhour. I'm back, you bitches. That's what Wilder is saying. Okay, and it's being said, that this bout is supposed to take place, I believe, on June 27th. And he is going to be facing an opponent by the name of, what's his name? Tyrell Hernston, something like that. Okay. Now, I think this is exciting news, you guys. What do you guys think about that? The return of Deontay Wilder. Okay. Now, this June return is going to mark basically, 1 year since he's been out of the ring, you guys. So that's pretty significant. Of course, for any fighter being out of that ring for that length of time. His last fight, of course, was against Zhilei Zhang, right? Last June. You guys, real talk, there is so much that we could say about Deontay Wilder, just in general. But I think, firstly, it's imperative that we frame Wilder within a sense of context, okay? I think it's imperative that we put Wilder in context. Deontay Wilder has been one of the most electrifying heavyweights that we have seen since the days of, I don't know, say Holyfield, Bo, Tyson. Hello? Okay? This man single-handedly and quite literally held the American heavyweight division afloat. He gave it relevance. He gave it identity. He gave it personality and focus that it had not had in a decade prior to his arrival. Okay? Before Deontay, the heavyweight division in this country was a ghost town. A ghost town. Completely desolate. And had been for some time. I can't help but notice, as I state something like that, the fact that, how do I want to say this? I can't help but feel and notice the obvious that ever since Deontay Wilder's departure or his hiatus or fall from grace, whatever it is that you want to call it, there has been no rise, no claim, no avouching of the American heavyweight landscape since. I know you guys noticed that. Okay? You guys noticed that. Where is the American heavyweight division right now, you guys? What is the American heavyweight division right now? Is there anything left of it? Does it exist? Is it standing? Did it disappear? What's going on? Now that I think about it. And I certainly don't hear enough overall dialogue about this matter, right? But what I certainly have heard is a willingness to mull over and avert from the significance of Deontay Wilder's place in boxing. American heavyweight boxing. That's what I have heard. People trying to evade and bypass the significance that this man has brought to that landscape in all the years that he managed to be supreme within it. Okay? Now, at 39 years old, I think it's fitting and quite natural, right, that there is to be some reconnaissance on the part of the boxing world, right? People are going to be investigative. People are going to take surveys about, his return, about the probability of his, claiming supremacy, around the fact about, if he's capable of claiming turf again, if he's capable of reassuming a semblance of dominance once again and things like that, right? I think that's quite natural to have at 39 years old. right? People are going to have those types of questions about him. But real talk, anything is possible. And I know that sounds to be cliche and weird and possibly even contrived, if you will, right? But this is the truth. Anything is possible. I did not bring George Foreman's name up in vain, you guys, when I mentioned him earlier. Was he not in his 40s when he reclaimed heavyweight supremacy at a particular time? Don't talk to me like these things are not doable, because they very much are. All we have to do is sit back and partake in the journey. Partake in the watching of seeing what can be. Okay? I don't know what this man will do upon his return, but who am I to tell that man to sit down? What if George would have listened to the world that said he was too old to step back in the ring and to even think about lacing up gloves again? Yes, he was going through financial hardships. Yes, all of those things were, on the table that mandated that he get back in the ring so that he could provide for himself and his family. All of these things were on the table. Yes. But so was his heart. So was his warriorship. That didn't go away just because he also needed to pay bills. He is a warrior. And he wanted to prove that. And did he? I think he did. And we had to put respect on George Foreman's name because of that. Why can't Deontay Wilder be allotted the same amount of perception, availability? Why can't he claim space? Why could it not be possible for him to come back and do whatever it is that he wants to do in boxing? Sometimes people need the space to fumble. Sometimes people need the space to trip up and make missteps in order to reform themselves. If he can take steps to claim, feats for himself, one step at a time, let him do it. If the fire is still in his belly, let him do it. This is his legacy, his crown, his turf. Did he not work his ass off to get his foot in the door? To feed his children, and to assist his daughter, who was facing a health concern? Did he not get himself to the top, off of the sweat of his own brow, back in those times? It was impossible for him to do it then, and he defied the odds. He became an Olympian, the only Olympian of that year for American boxing. Did he not defy the odds back then? Who's to say he can't do whatever it is that he wants to do or set out to do now upon his return? Okay? So that when I talked about rejuvenation and the aspect of renewal within boxing, I'm looking at him just like I was looking at Foreman, the man who called all of this to mind. Which is to say that anything can be done if you create the space to manifest it. Come what may, regardless of what anybody else has to think about it or say about it, it can be done if you will will it to be done. That's the spirit I want to see in these fighters. And I know a lot of people will be quick to castigate and disavow Wilder. Oh, why don't you go sit down somewhere? You're 39. You're 40. You know what I mean? You done did it. You done got knocked out. You done been there. You done been here. Whatever the case is. All types of castigations and stones thrown at this man. Quick to do that. But also quick to forget all of the types of unthinkable things that boxers throughout the time have achieved. Wilder included. Let him hunt. If he doesn't, make it, at least he put the work in to see for himself what he can and cannot do. But he must find out. To tell somebody to just sit there and dismiss all semblance of potential just because you think I can't do this is preposterous to me. Go get it if you want it. Who are we to tell somebody to sit down and shut the door and close the curtain and go to bed? Crazy to me. Because I can only, imagine some of the rumblings and dialogues that are going on as the news, continues to unfold that this man will be returning or looking to make a return in June. Now, of course, for me, firstly, okay, there is always the imperative of a fighter's health. It is no different with Deontay Wilder. Wilder is one of my favorite fighters, has been for a very, very long time. He is one of my hitters, okay? No doubts about that. So, of course, my assertion is going to be placed on the aspect of his health and overall well-being, real talk, okay? So, I think that so long as he is willing to put the work in and dedicate himself to the craft, I can't say that I have an issue with his re-entrance into the sport. In fact, I think that this return that he intends to make evinces that he still has the passion and the flame despite the setbacks that he's faced, despite the losses, and most certainly despite the question marks that people have been speculating upon about him for the past 6+ years or so. Apparently, none of those speculations make him any never mind, okay? Make him no never mind, apparently. All right? That's the type of determination that I like to see, real talk. Whether it seems impossible for this man to come over here and turn water into wine or not, the determination is what I like to see. That's what I am saluting. Whether he will be victorious or not is none of my business until he makes it my business. But I'm going to support the king in his journey. I'm going to support him. Period. This what you want to do? Show me the goddamn way. Point me in the direction I'm stepping. That's just how I'm coming. That's just how I am as a avid supporter of the people that I back. I don't play games. I'm on demon time with you. I add fire to fire. That's just my spirit. I can't see you on the prowl on the hunt for something and me not be standing 10 toes with you. So yes, as long as his health is in order, as long as his, his faculties are in place, let him go hunt. I'm definitely down with it. Okay. I like to see that passion and determination, a sense of fortitude and grit, that he is committed to making and remaking himself as needed. That's what we should be doing. We should not be sitting and, recoiling at growth, recoiling at challenge, recoiling at the possibility of having to pass through fire. No, that's not how you make and remake yourself. You want to stay the same? You want to, stay on the same basic level at level 1? Go ahead, by all means. Dégagez, as we would say in IET. Dégagez, which means, have your fill. You know what I mean? But that's not how we rock over here. I can only respect a man who was setting about that particular type of path to see of what he is made. You can do nothing but respect that. I think it goes without saying that the Tyson Fury fights, okay, because we got to keep it a buck as well, about the other aspect of the balance. It goes without saying that the Tyson Fury fights, left an indelible mark, on his general persona, on his credence, okay, and on his legacy, real talk, right? There was an indelible mark most certainly made upon that, okay? In the aftermath of those fights, it seemed like he seemingly, lost the gleam for boxing at a particular time. And he even admittedly stated, you guys, if you guys recall that time, prior to the Riyadh card that he did where he faced Joseph Parker, and then there was going to be the head-to-head possibility with he and Anthony Joshua. If you guys recall, in the lead up in the promotion of that fight, he had admitted that he had made some mental, spiritual, and emotional changes to his life. You remember that? Where he said he had gone through a process of spiritual healing, personal rumination, okay, that left him yearning for peace in his life, yearning for peace with his family, and so forth and so on, right? So there was that aspect of it that he came off with from the Tyson Fury fights that also changed him in addition to the Tyson, battles themselves, right? Now, though a great people were excited to see him back at that particular time when he was re-entering on that Riyadh card, of course, the result of that fight, had many people speculating about if we'd even see the Bronze Bomber again, or if we'd even ever be able to get a glimpse of the Bronze Bomber that we once knew, right? And that was quite natural, right? People were like, "Oh my God, here's Wilder. Oh, this is a possibility he might fight AJ. He's looking good. Oh, he's talking about ashwagandha. What's going to happen?" And then the fight, ended up how it ended up, and people are like, "Damn, can Wilder ever be the same? Has he bypassed the golden age, so to speak?" And I can't say that I don't understand that, because of course I held the same questions. It's natural to have taken that position. Now, I also recall that after the Zhang fight, virtually all of the boxing world, you guys, y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? All of the boxing world was basically in question if it would even be safe, if it would even be safe out here in these streets for Deontay to return to the ring, just period, in general. Like, is this motherfucker safe to enter a boxing ring, period? You know what I mean? We had those questions upon seeing the aftermath of that Zhang fight last year, okay? And that fight, he looked out of his wits, okay? He was not throwing his hands. It was a hard watch. I'm not gonna cap. You know what I mean? It was not easy to watch that particular fight. But despite the outcome of that fight, Wilder never publicly alluded to retirement. Still. I mean, he had some rumblings of that, right? But it was more so, alluding to the sense of peace that he found. It was never that he was outright going to leave the sport behind and can, boxing altogether. He didn't really allude to retirement, even following his last fight last year with Zhang, right? But at the same time, of course, leave it to boxing media, okay? It did not stop the rumors from swirling and circulating. You guys remember the false report that was circulating across social media saying that, Deontay Wilder retired? Y'all remember that out of nowhere? People posting pictures and making the little headlines and say, "Oh, breaking news, Deontay Wilder retires." You guys remember that? This was only, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 months ago or so, if that. You guys recall that? I was like, what is this? That shit looked, so official. I was starting to, be like, oh shit, he retired. But once I saw that there was no follow up from Deontay Wilder himself, I'm like, nah, this shit is cap. It gotta be cap. I haven't heard him say anything. I went to his social media pages on Instagram. I didn't see any posts about an official, announcement. So, this media is wild like that. That's what's ridiculous about the boxing world. Assumptions fly more readily than the truth, right? Ain't that how things always go? People refuse to validate anything but are quick to stand behind all types of falsities for attention. But that's a whole nother story. All in all, I think that the boxing world will certainly be curious, if nothing else, to see what the return of Deontay Wilder will entail. If nothing else, people are definitely going to be curious, right? People are going to be tuning in and asking questions and keeping an eye out for that particular matchup and what he will look like when he returns to the ring, right? I think we all have our questions, right? For me, I think that one of the most premier of them being, if he's still training with Malik Scott. That's one of the premier questions that I have concerning a return to boxing for Wilder, okay? Is he still training with goddamn Malik Scott, you guys? Y'all know how I feel about Malik. Okay, I've shared my thoughts about this quite, extensively in the past. Okay, maybe some of you weren't following me then, but I have shared my views on Malik Scott as his trainer. Now, I haven't heard anything that would suggest otherwise, right? That would suggest that he was not with Malik. But then again, I haven't heard anything about Wilder. So, it remains to be seen if Malik is still, head trainer on his team. But I certainly would like to see a change in his team, you guys. Okay? I'd like to see, or at least, a change in the dynamics of his team so that if he is keeping, the team, some of the dynamics got to be moved around and switched around. Okay? Because they cannot remain as they were. That's something that I was calling for, real talk, after that trilogy, ended. I was calling for the change of dynamic then. So, I don't believe that, and Malik is a head coach that could benefit Wilder beyond Because real talk, I want to say at all, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt because I know that he has a brotherhood and I don't want to ever disrespect that brotherhood because I respect Deontay Wilder. But I will say that I don't believe that Malik as a head coach could benefit Wilder beyond what we've seen thus far. Okay? Because that's been proven repeatedly. He showed up how he showed up in the second fight of the trilogy. He showed up how he showed up in the final match of the trilogy. He showed up how he showed up against Parker. He showed up how he showed up a goddamn against Zhilei Zhang. All right? Whatever method is at play is not working. And that needs to be changed. And he needs to be willing to change that if he is serious on making any type of mark upon his return in any significant and meaningful way, which I'm assuming that he is, because why else would he return to the ring, right? I mean, I guess aside from money or whatever the case may be, but that's his personal business. I'm only interested in the passion of the sport. Now, but of course, with assuming a new trainer also comes the notion that perhaps Wilder is, what people would say too set in his ways. Oh, he's too set in his ways at this point to find or assume value in a new trainer. Oh, you can't teach your old dog new tricks type of mentality, right? And this is, again, it's not an impossible feat, okay? It's not. So long as he is willing to soak up and learn whatever information is being given to him by a new trainer, by a new energy. And of course, he'd have to have a rapport and a respect for whoever would be in that head trainer position. It's possible if he is willing to make it so, okay? All progress in life, you guys, all progress in life stops at the point that the mind and spirit does. So long as that mind and that spirit is engaging and looking toward the horizon, hello, as I said earlier, nothing can't be found. You can make it so. It may not look or be materialized in a way that you may have envisioned it, but life can happen. Life can happen. Things can happen. Creativity can happen. Okay? Either way, I guess we'll see soon enough come June, right? We'll see what he's been working on. We'll see what he intends to do moving forward. We'll see if this is his last fight. We'll see if, he'll line up, other fights. We'll see what other fighters can be, lined up for him. Is he still interested in, some big names? What's good? You know what I mean? I'm interested to see, and we are surely going to have those things answered. I'm definitely wishing the King Deontay Wilder a healthy return when he does make his way into the ring. And, real talk, I hope that he grabs whatever victory that he sets out to achieve for himself in whatever venture that he pursues. That's real talk. That's across the board, boxing and otherwise. He's a stand-up dude. He always stood 10 toes for the culture, always unapologetic about his history, about his culture as a black man in this country, as a black fighter in this country. Okay? Always outspoken about the issues pertaining our people and our culture. And so he will always have my respect because he always showed a level of valor that is to be respected by real people who already know what time it is. So salute to the King Wilder. I can't wait to see what's in store for him. Either way he goes. I'm wishing him health and prosperity in what he does. Let me check in with my people. I kind of got riled up about that one, y'all. Y'all knows I get passionate about my stuff when I get to going. Let me see what my people saying. I read that already. My twin says, I like it, but I hope it's the mean version of Deontay Wilder. Of course, that's what we know and love about Wilder. It's that heart, it's that sauce, it's that swag. You know what I mean? He comes through, no apologies made, whatever. That's the type of time that I want to see him on. You know what I mean? And I think that he knows that that's the part of him that the public has gravitated towards all of the years. That we've been following him. It's that heart. He had the world eating out of his palm at a particular time because we knew what he was stepping with. We knew what he was bringing. And I'd love to see that level of tenacity on display once again, for sure. Oh my goodness, we got the King Champ side in the building with his emojis, his custom emojis. Okay. Oh my goodness. And we also have a super chat from the king, the beautiful king, as I call him, Champ Side. Oh my goodness. Damn. He blessed the sister today. Thank you so much, King. I really do appreciate you. Firstly, for showing up in the building. Secondly, of course, for all the support that you give me in this whole boxing journey that I'm on. I really appreciate you, King. You already know what time it is, though. Big salute, big love to you, King. Thank you so much. I appreciate you beyond what you even know. Thank you. Salute to the king, Champ Side. That's my king. That's my brother. The King Hudson says, in the motherfucking trash, what you was talking about, King. Sometimes I'll be reading y'all comments and I'll be cracking up to myself. Like, what? My people going off in these comments. Yes, salute to the king, Champ Side. Exactly, you guys. Yes, King Stephen. The obstacle is the way. It's the doorway. Yes, beautiful king. Salute to you, King Ob. I see you in the building. Nice to see you. All right. So let me get into another topic that I found definitely noteworthy this week. Let's see. Now, reclamation is so important for this discussion. And I felt that's why I wanted to call it New Dawn, because all of the themes, like I said, of reclamation, rejuvenation, certification, validation, everything that you could think of, right, is touching on these fighters. And Jamal Charlo posted a clip of him, that once again alluded and hinted towards a return to the ring, speaking about returns. Okay. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? Because this is not the first time that he had been hinting towards a return. We saw little glimpses of him. He was, he posted, I want to say a month or so ago, like, 154 ain't been the same. The king is ready to reign. Vacation over. I'm ready to step. Little hints and subliminals like that. So when I saw him post, something to that same effect and degree earlier this week, I'm like, all right, Mel ain't playing. You know what I'm saying? He dropping some little hints here. Now, hands down, one of my favorite fighters, okay? Both of the Charlos I rocks with. Tough, heavy, okay? So in seeing, his little hints and his little clues, I was certainly excited to say the least. You guys, let's keep it a buck. 154 has certainly not been an inkling of the same without Jamal Charlo. Can we keep it a buck about that? I mean, this is despite the entrance of Bud Crawford into the division. Now, Bud definitely brought a buzz with him, hands down, without a doubt. But let's keep it a stack, you guys. When Jamal Charlo was in this damn division, everything was on lock. Everything was on lock. The energy, the presence, the fights, you know what I'm saying? So that in his absence, I don't think that we can deny a shift in energy, even upon the entrance of Bud Crawford into that division, at least for the time that he had been there, because I think he dropped the, belt and, officially made his way up to 68 at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But the energy ain't been the same, you guys, long story short. All right. 154 is a division that is and has long been replete with hitters. But Jamal Charlo was the only one to solidify one face, one name to that division. He was the one that was able to do that for 154. We assumed that Bud, would have been able to do that. But Bud is hauling ass to go chase Canelo, right? So there is no solidification of the division, even though it's full, replete with killers and beautiful, talented brothers in that weight class, right? So that it's missing a claim. It's missing a name ever since Jamal Charlo left. He was the one who claimed the division, who put his mark and stamp on that division. Okay? Now, it seems that people have forgotten, real talk, the prowess and the kingship of Charlo since he's been gone, and because he ventured off into territory outside the weight class to go fight Canelo, right? Since going to quote unquote chase greatness against Canelo Alvarez back in September, I want to say, of 23. right? His esteem dwindled a bit. His esteem dwindled. The performance that he put on in that fight against Canelo wasn't what us true boxing diehards could have anticipated. Let's just put it that way. Okay. We know Charlo. Okay. We know the dog. We know the gunner. We know Charlo that goes from 0 to motherfucking 60 in 3 seconds. Right? In a fraction of a second. That's the Charlo that we know. The one that doesn't bat an eye at smoke. That's the Charlo that's the Mel that we know. Okay? And though he's the smaller of the twins, he's certainly the most accomplished of the two. Right? And we were expecting to see him bring that skill, that dominance, and that reverence and accomplishment to Canelo. We were expecting for him to bring the business to the doorstep of Canelo. That's what we were expecting going into that fight. Even though we had questions about why Canelo wasn't fighting Big Charlo. Why did he bypass Mel? But I guess Mel was still dealing with the mental, personal, issues in his life and stuff like that. And so Mel stepped up to the plate to fight him instead. Even though we had those questions about Mel being the smaller of the Charlos, we were still expecting him to bring that smoke. You understand? So when we instead got a version of Charlo that was lackluster, let's say, non-assertive, reticent, the boxing world, was in a frenzy. Boxing world was in a hailstorm of questions about what it was that we got from Charlo and why he looked like that against Canelo. Considering all the skill and all the tenacity, all the dominance and sheer beautiful ability that he brings, athleticism, everything, right? So Charlo has since been under the radar since that fight, and virtually he's been unseen since that fight with Canelo. I'm wondering what a return to the ring is going to prompt for the former undisputed King of 54, you guys. What is this return going to bring? What is he trying to set in place? What path is he trying to walk into? Okay? I'm definitely awaiting and anticipating another run of supremacy in the division. That's for sure. Because I know that wherever Charlo is, a level of expertise is sure to follow. So I'm expecting him to do well. I'm expecting him to reclaim space. And I most certainly, expect to be pleasantly surprised. However, I am not without my queries about, what to expect. I think one of my first questions would be, speaking of trainers, if he's still training with goddamn Derek James. What's going on with Derek James, you guys? That's probably the first question for me, because Charlo has been, so under the radar. We have not gotten a look into what he is doing. We have not gotten a glimpse into his training, his setup, nothing, because he's been virtually undercover all of this time, right? What is going on with Derek James, y'all? Just in general, if I could just touch on this really briefly. What's popping with D. James? I haven't seen him since the Ryan goddamn debacle. I haven't seen him front and center since all of that stuff commenced. Okay? Virtually nobody has been putting on blast the fact that Ryan straight up and down ditched Derek James and ran back to a gym inundated with PED usage. Hello? He left Derek James high and dry. Nobody's goddamn talking about it. I mean, aside from the real ones who know what it is, right? Ryan Garcia done pulled a wham, bam, no thank you, sir on this motherfucker. What? He done soiled Derek James' reputation. He done ruined his entire stable and had the damn nerve to chuck the goddamn deuces after popping dirty against one of the most premier and elite boxers in all of the sport. How hellacious is that, you guys? Derek James, he been having some goddamn bad juju. What is going on? What is going on with Derek James? So I don't know what is left of Derek James. I really don't. I don't know if Charlo. I can't even begin to surmise if Charlo is still with him. I can't say that with certainty. I can't say anything of certainty as far as Derek James. What's going on? Is he still goddamn training? I mean, shit. I don't know what remains of the world-class boxing gym. Is Frank Martin still there, you guys? I have so many questions. Real talk. A lot of questions, But should Charlo return, that's definitely going to be answered. Should he make his return to the ring? We will see, outright who is in his corner, who is behind him, so forth and so on. We also have to consider that, there's the possibility within the dynamic of him parting ways with Derek James, that upon receiving a new trainer, if that is the case, what is the synergy going to be with his new trainer at his side? Has he already began formulating a partnership with somebody outside of Derek James? That's what is he been doing behind these scenes for all this time? How would a new trainer affect his style? Okay, because he has a very distinctive style, Jamal Charlo, right? What is going to be able to be unearthed within his style at the hands of a new trainer at his side? What new things can be implemented that we have not seen of Jamal Charlo? Okay, the overall effectiveness. What can we gauge with that? Very interesting stuff at hand, you guys. Okay. Now, regarding who Charlo can make a comeback against is also something that I have in mind when thinking about a possible return for him, right? Would he take on champion straight away at 54? Is he looking at somebody possibly like a Sebastian Fundora? Is he up to that type of challenge, right? Is he looking at Bakaram? Bakaram is another champ. So that there are varying elements at work here as far as his possibilities and options, right? Would he take somebody, if it's not a champion, let's say straight away, would he take somebody in the top 5 rankings? Which area would he tackle first? He's certainly got a lot of food on the table to pick from, that's for sure. Naturally, I definitely have questions surrounding what he's going to look like upon his return, of course, after being out of the ring for such an extensive period of time as well. Those questions are on the table for me. Okay? That's quite a bit of a extensive period of time to be out of the ring. What is he going to look like upon his return? On his social media, he posted a clip of him training. I'm not sure if you guys came across that within recent days and weeks. Has he been in the lab all this time? Could he be ready to fight in 2 to 3 months if he has been training? If they call him to fight, is it something that he's ready to do now because he's been in fight shape? What's going on? Does he have a projected time frame that he'd like to get back? Lots of inquiries I have, you guys, as you guys can tell. But altogether, I am interested, nonetheless, in what he will do. He is a beautiful elite king that I support, and I'm interested in seeing what he has coming up. He's long been a formidable champion and a vicious warrior, okay? Save, of course, for the Canelo fight. That's probably the only time where I saw, what I was not expecting to see of Jamal Charlo, right? But outside of that, formidable, vicious warrior. Love his fight style, love what he brings to the sport of boxing overall. I think that he may have a bit of a chip on his shoulder, okay? We've seen him have a chip on his shoulder for less things. So I could only imagine that he has a chip on his shoulder now upon, aiming to make a return to the ring. But I think that the chip on his shoulder is, could possibly be a renewed desire to prove himself. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that the Charlos have always felt that they were underrated. People did, for many years, try to bypass their elite stature and stuff like that in the sport. So I think that, things have a way of working. And, like I said, when you're on the path of solidifying your journey, renewal and changeability is an imperative. You know what I'm saying? So it's time for a change. It's time for him to, possibly, shake things up, question his foundations, rebuild those foundations, and make a new statement for himself as he enters, because he is that, 1 year older, 1 year, more experience, 1 year, whatever. He's bringing all of these experiences to the ring that can certainly be applied to work in his favor should he, make the definitive decision to return. I think that a return to grace and a new dawning for Jamal Charlo could be what is needed to change the division of 154. Okay? I think that he could bring another solidification to the 154-pound division. Imagine him coming in there and reclaiming it again. How boss would that be? You know what I'm saying? What's the bar from Little Kim? I was going for a minute. Now I'm back with the jump off. You know what I mean? I like that. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Terrence Crawford is out here hauling ass out of that division to go tackle the dragon that they call Canelo, right? The dragon that he himself failed to slay. Now Crawford is on that particular path. I doubt that Terrence Crawford will tackle an opportunity to return back to 154 after fighting Canelo. I doubt that he will willingly return to the division to face the likes of Charlo or Virgil or any of the gunners there at 54. I doubt that Terrence Crawford would do that. So 154 definitely needs a solidified ruler because Terrence Crawford refused to do so. He refused to do so for whatever reason. If you guys know me well, you already know how I feel, have long felt about the Canelo fight. Even when it was just speculation and rumor, I was not with it. I'm still not with it, real talk. I think 154 is packed with legacy for Terrence Crawford, but he is choosing to go the Canelo route, so it is what it is. 154 needs a solidified ruler. I think that Jamal Charlo reigned there once before. He certainly can make his mark again. Okay? What do you guys think about that? Interesting stuff from Jamal Charlo and the possibility of a return. Oh yeah, you guys. Speaking of active squad, since we are on the subject, so Shakur Stevenson stated, let me take a sip of my tea. 1 second. Shakur Stevenson stated again, you guys, as I'm sure that you guys are aware, that the quote unquote ship has sailed. The ship has sailed on the Devin Haney fight. Interesting words. Now, since our discussion today is centering upon themes of reclamation and all of these types of things that I wanted to shed a light on, the ability to enter right into the dawning of oneself, claim space, one's goals, laying grounds, and stuff like that. When I heard Shakur expressing these kinds of statements, I really do question. And I did not want to go here with this young man because I rocks with him. I like Shakur Stevenson. He has long been one of my favorite fighters as well. But I got to be honest, okay? When I hear Shakur expressing these types of statements, I really begin to question his ability to reign supreme in the sport. Supreme. Not just be existent within and among, notable fighters, but to reign supreme in the sport. I start to question that when I hear him talking like this. I'm going to just be straight up with it. As much of a talented fighter as he may be, with all of the potential as one could assume that he holds, I cannot confidently state at this juncture that Shakur Stevenson has the fortitude that will propel him beyond the point he is now. That must be proven. And with the way he is talking, I'm just in, full question about the possibility of that claiming of supremacy as being a foremost fighter in the sport. You guys, Devin Haney is a name that has been synonymous with Shakur Stevenson ever since he was a child, ever since he was an amateur, okay? Those two men have developed together in many ways. Many ways they developed side by side. And as men, upon solidifying their names and stature as pros in the sport, that association between the two men only grew further, only grew bigger. The anticipation around these two men one day going to battle with each other has been a resounding element in this era of boxing, right? Oh, Shakur. You can't say Shakur without Devin. You can't say Devin without Shakur. It's been that way for myriad, discussions, all types of dialogues. It's passed through the mouths and perceptions of all types of boxing goers. Everybody, had those two names together in their minds. Okay? A resounding anticipation for these two men to one day meet. And it remains low-key, not even low-key, high-key. It remains to be that to this day. People still want to see that fight. That is still one of the biggest fights to make in boxing. Okay? Let's also recall that in addition to the press and the fans clamoring for the possibility of this fight, let's also not be forgetful of the fact that Shakur Stevenson also made certain to ride the coattails of that resounding anticipation that people had to see him fight Devin Haney. He rode the wave of Devin Haney. Pause. Right? Devin Haney, who was swiftly setting himself apart at that time in the 135 division. Okay? Claiming championship status, building up his, Devin was putting in the work. And Shakur was ensuring that his name remained synonymous with Devin Haney. Facts or no? Shakur would relish being asked questions about Devin Haney. He used every avenue to remain associated with Devin Haney. He even turned on Devin Haney, right? And that garnered a lot of public attention. When he was, in his cap days of, send the contract. And when he was, putting Bill Haney recorded motherfucking secret fucking videos, out in the public. You know what I'm saying? And when he, publicly sided with Lomachenko, I was about to say Lomachenko, right? When he took Loma's side against Devin. I think Loma beat Devin, right? So he publicly turned on Devin Haney. All of this for the publicity, but nonetheless to remain synonymous with Devin Haney so that his name was constantly tied to Devin Haney. He ensured that took place, right? All types of things. Yet, when he was offered a fight from Devin Haney to challenge for the undisputed titles, when Devin was still at 135, you guys, what did he do? Shakur Stevenson refused. He refused to fight Devin. Even though he was calling his name, even though he was using his name, clickbaiting his name, clout chasing his name, all of that, whatever it is that you want to call it. He refused to fight with Devin Haney when an offer was made. I don't care how you want to redress that reality. I don't care how you want to veil or cloak the reality of that. The goddamn man refused to fight with Devin Haney. Several offers to fight Devin Haney. It is what it is. Okay? So that to hear him now complaining about the 147 division is preposterous to me. It's absolutely outrageous and egregious. Real talk. As if he was willing to fight Devin all the while. 147, I can't meet you there, bro. This fight can never happen. Really? What the fuck were you doing when he was sending you an offer at goddamn 35? You understand? Don't talk to me like 147 is all of a sudden the impasse of all impasses. You created a blockade to that fight for yourself, even when Devin was right in front of you in your division. Shakur not only had that man in his division and in his aim and scope view, but Devin was with the shits. At that time, Devin wanted to fight you. He gave you an offer to fight. He said, what's poppin'? Let's get this cracking. Devin Haney wanted to smoke with you. You were a part of what he wanted to achieve before he moved to another division. You were a part of that goal. Yes, I want Shakur Stevenson on my resume. He was a part of that vision, that legacy. So technically, the ship sailed when Shakur Stevenson turned down the fight for Undisputed. The ship been sailed. The moment he said no, and said no again, and said no again. Why is is he acting as if 147 is the barrier between he and a fight with Devin Haney taking place or being able to commence? 147 has nothing to do with the fact that you turned down, I don't know how many goddamn offers all those years ago. 3? What's worse is that mysteriously, 147 is an impossibility, a feat of all feats to venture into all of a sudden. But ironically, Shakur has been on record saying that he sees himself eventually going to 147 at a particular point. There's record of him saying that. Oh, yes, I can go to 147. I can conquer 147. He gasconated in that particular interview about fighting welterweights and guys even bigger than welterweight, and that he could hold his own in the 147 division, citing that he was so confident in his abilities as a fighter and skills as a fighter that he had no doubt that he would be able to contend with the elite and be formidable against the elite at 47. What are we talking about? What is Shakur Stevenson's words always concurrently expressing opposing views at the same goddamn time? What's going on here? Rocks with the king? That's an element of that man that I just can't wrap around. I don't understand. I'm always confused about that. How are you talking with two goddamn tongues? Yes, I can go to 147. Yep, I'll be formidable, child. I fight big dudes all the time, and I hold my own. You know what I'm saying? I done put the best of them down. You name them. But all of a sudden, I can't go to 47. Oh, that ship is sail. Oh, that's too much for me. 135. I'm good right here. My perfect weight. Nope. Not looking to the left. Not looking to the right. I'm staying right here. The fuck? Does that somebody, sounding like a champion to you? Stop me when I'm lying, y'all. Does that sound like somebody who can reign supreme and be a foremost fighter in the sport? Real talk. Not that he can't be, but is that type of parlance that you would expect to hear from an elite fighter who is looking to not accelerate, but to generate and to uphold a sense of credence with the elite around him in the sport? When we consider the reasons why people move up in divisions, you guys, one of the premier reasons is the pursuit of competition. Facts or no? This is one of the reasons why, the premier reasons why people go up in weight. It's to claim turf, to claim new territory, to be within an element and an environment that they have not previously been, and to prove that they can conquer there. Facts or no? Let's put that into context. As it stands, Shakur Stevenson is one of 4 champions at 135. One of the champions in his division has avowed, pretty much, to never fight him. Another champion is dead set on not getting in the ring with him. And the last of the champions is 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the sport, even though he is holding for dear life onto a belt. Let that sink in. One fighter, he avows and who himself avows to never fight each other. Another one don't want nothing to do with him. No smoke. And the other one is on the motherfucking foothills of goddamn retirement. What is going on here, you guys? That is his current weight division. And when we consider the people outside of the champions, the other competitors in the divisions are either prospects or men who have not been deemed to be on par with the champions as far as credibility, stature, even though they may be highly ranked, right? Not to say that there aren't good contenders in let's say the top 10 rankings or whatever outside of the champions, right? But that they are not of people who are highly considered to be of stature, meaning that they would draw in a high level of anticipation to see in the ring with Shakur Stevenson. A plethora of Core's notable competition outside of the 3 champions next to him all lie in the divisions above him. If he isn't aligning with the champions at 35 to unify, what does Shakur Stevenson intend to do for, let's say, the next goddamn 2 to 3 years? You're not unifying a motherfucking belt. What is it? Are we going to have this extend for the next 2 goddamn to 3 years? What is he going to do in the meantime? Fight Zepeda? Is that the fight that is the big, you know what I'm saying, catch at 35? I think motherfucking not. A fighter who has no significance other than being ranked in all of the sanctioning bodies, is that a make 'em break 'em fight for Shakur Stevenson? Let's be honest, you guys. I mean, he can fight the man. I mean, for the sake of getting him out of the way, if you will. But what is he going to do in the meantime of 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 years? If he is not fighting these champions? Is this a fight that's going to solidify his resume? William Zepeda? Is this what stands to put a stamp on the resume of Shakur Stevenson? The answer is fuck no, if I'm going to be blunt. Hell no. What happens, let's say, after that Zepeda fight? Is he going to line up goddamn Ricardo Nunez? Artem? Is that on the motherfucking menu? What's going on? Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's happening? So that there is a wasting of time that is being had. A stalling out of progress beyond where he's been. All right? That's what I see taking place. That is what is prohibiting him from entering into the next level. From entering into that state of supremacy that he very much is capable of claiming for himself. But how can you do that standing still? I've said it repeatedly that if Shakur is denied a unification by the close of the year or the beginning, let's say, of next year, he ought to be looking upward. Okay? There is no way in hell that he should be remaining stagnant at 35 without any meaningful, substantial fights. And I also think that the larger question to pose here is also, why isn't Shakur Stevenson looking to challenge himself via the avenue of moving up in weight, if all of the notable competition is up there? When all of the significant competition moves up, right, as they've already begun to do so, you see all of the, it's 140 is stacked, 147 is becoming stacked because the people are moving up, right? So people have already begun, your pit bulls, your Rios, Antoine Russell was already at 40, but he is up there, and so forth and so on, right? People begin to move up. Let's say if Shakur Stevenson ventured into 140, but the people that are at 140 then begin proceeding to 147. Is he just going to remain in an empty goddamn division? Is that what he intends to do? Oh, nobody's here, but I said I'd never go to 47, even though I said I would go to 47. I'm going to not go to 47. Are you just going to stand there and look at the motherfucking walls of the division? Shakur Stevenson is not an island, you guys. He would be a fool to stand in a division that provides no merit. Okay? So that he better be willing to be flexible, to go chase the smoke where the smoke is had. He needs to have a level of flexibility. I don't like the stubbornness that I'm seeing here. What are you talking about? You ought to be aiming a shot wherever the elite are. That's where you need to be aiming. That's what you need to be trying to get in the center of. Not resting on your goddamn laurels because you're comfortable at such and such position and weight. You know what I mean? If you're going to clean out the division, clean out your division. But let's not also forget that this is the man who said he didn't want to be undisputed. So what is he really doing? What is really the aim? What's the aim? You don't want to be undisputed anymore. You talk about the politics of boxing. But you want to remain at 35 for what? You're not trying to unify. Why not go up and at least fight some formidable competition? At least have more access to formidable competition because, of course, 135, still holds, the champions, of course, Tank, Loma, Keyshawn and stuff like that. And even, you got your Abdullahs, you got your Cruzes and all of the likes and stuff like that. There are people there. But if you ain't going to clean that shit out, what are you doing? But standing around looking crazy. Shakur Stevenson has repeatedly, over the years, as you know, talked about emulating Floyd and Sugar Ray, right? But he is unwilling at this point, at least up until this point that I've seen. He is unwilling to walk through the fire. He is unwilling, as he said with his own words, to venture into new territory. But that's exactly what people like Ray, Leonard, and Floyd did. They ventured into new territory. They did not stay still. They did not stand in one place. They moved and conquered as they moved. Facts or no? Those men did not sit and chill while their competition just ran free. No, they went hunting. Wherever the prey was, that's where you found them. And they sought to conquer there. Period. That's where they went. And they followed the smoke. And the smoke, was had, and they met each other and they did what they had to do with the competitors around them. But they went for it. They went for it. They were flexible and they achieved great things because they were willing to stand amid the pressure so that they can validate themselves. Cora is saying the opposite. Oh, I'm good at 35. I'm not looking over here. Don't go chasing waterfalls looking ass. I'm not looking at no waterfalls. I'm not chasing no waterfalls. I'm good right here. What? Like, the fuck are you calling Tiafimo's a name for then, sir? Why are you sniffing up Ryan's ass, sir? Ryan is a welterweight now. Like, what are you doing? Too quick to speak and too late to prove is what I see, right? Quick to speak, late to prove. I don't know how far that's going to take Shakur Stevenson. Okay? I'd like to see a change. I'd like to see him walking into the dawn of himself because he certainly is a fantastic fighter, and he has an incalculable amount of talent and ability. And I'm sure that we haven't even seen a fraction of it. In fact, I know without a doubt that we haven't. It's time to see him put that greatness on display. As I say time and time again, every time I get on a segment about Shakur Stevenson, I am asking for that of him. I want that for you. I want to support you on that journey. Why aren't you embarking on it? You cannot talk like that and be saying, "Oh, I'm the best in the sport." What? Where are you showing it? Can you show it so that I can crown you? Weird times in the sport. I've supported Shakur Stevenson for many years, but I question, if he has what it takes to prevail. Real talk. I mean, significantly in the sport. Not that he won't, but I have questions. You know what I'm saying? And, I question if he'll be able to stamp his resume with notable opponents. I mean, real ones, real significant opponents. Is that something that he can do at this point? I question if he'll claim his spot as one of the leading and premier fighters in boxing. Can he do that? Because this language is not suggesting so. And I'm surely willing to be proven otherwise. I'm willing to be proven otherwise because I want to be proven otherwise. I am telling you to prove me otherwise. What I'm saying is not to dissuade Shakur Stevenson or to berate Shakur Stevenson. I am calling for the fire in him. I want to salute the fire in him. That's what I want. I am telling you to walk through the door. That's what I am saying to Shakur Stevenson. Walk through the door. What's going on here? If you're not getting it here, go get it elsewhere, but get it. Get it and claim it because it is yours. It does belong to you. You are talented. You are great. Now go prove that. You know what I mean? I want to be proven otherwise. But as it stands, he's got more to prove than he seems to realize, I think, at this particular point. The way he casually talked about that ship sailing with Devin Haney, made him sound, as mediocre as one could get, real talk. It's like, what? Shouldn't you, You're not talking about fighting motherfucking David Benavidez. Talking about Devin. You know what I mean? Didn't he say that wherever Devin is, he's always one step behind him? Oh, he goes up in a division, I'm always sure to follow. You know what I'm saying? He usually goes up first, but I'm always a step behind him or whatever to meet him wherever he's at. What the fuck happened to that type of talk? You know? Crazy. I don't think that statement or disposition held any valor or showed a level of heart or valor or tenacity. You know, as tough as that is to say, that's how I view it at this particular point. I know that may be hard on some people's ears, but that's just where I'm at this particular point. To me, it deflates his aura to hear him say things like that. It dampens his brand. I don't see anything beneficial of him saying something like that. Oh, the ship has sailed on Devin Haney. No, Devin Haney, the motherfucker whose name pretty much made you in the sport. You understand? Your association with Devin Haney is what had a lot of people batting an eye at you, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? The association with each other. It's just that Devin has just, has gone so far beyond that, perhaps you guys aren't in the same room. Fuck a weight class. Maybe y'all ain't in the same ballpark at this particular point. Who knows? That could be true as well. Interesting stuff. But, I don't think that type of talk is getting him any closer to the realization or materialization of legacy. And that's crazy to say for somebody so talented and so gifted. But, like I said, I'm willing to be proven otherwise. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see what happens on that. Speaking of Devin Haney, you guys, the young King Devin Haney posted a photo of himself that threw social media into a bit of a frenzy over the past couple of days. Did you guys see this photo Devin posted? I saw nothing but comments and reposts of this photo that showed Devin looking absolutely shredded, okay, in preparation for his upcoming fight. Devin looks healthy. Devin looks well. He looks good. He looks like a grown ass man. Okay. Grown man energy in the building. And he looked wonderful. He shared a photo with the caption. I think it stated simply, "Let the work speak." Let the work speak. That was the caption under that photo. And he also added that the fasting that he had been doing for Ramadan has done him well, that he's feeling stronger than ever. Right? So good stuff to hear ahead of his fight. Devin is, of course, completing Ramadan. I don't know if it's finished now or if he, at least at the time where I saw the photo, he had a few days of Ramadan to go. But he is definitely completing all of that amid a full-blown training camp, which is crazy. So I'm glad to see and hear that he is feeling healthy and steadfast through the entire fasting process. So the high demands of training, you guys. What? High demands of training and camp life mixed in with the diligence of having to fast. Okay. I mean, talk about immense focus, persistence, and determination, right? He has to train at an elite level through his fast, through the fasting. He still has to be at top level. So obviously he has a great team around him and a hell of a circle that's going to ensure that his body can sustain the demands of both training and the fasting season of Ramadan. Now, Devin Haney is himself entering into a new dawning. In fact, I think that he is the face, not only of boxing, but of this claim that I am making of a new dawn. Because just like Foreman was on my mind when I started to weave together the topics to discuss with you all, Devin Haney also popped into mind. A few fighters popped into mind, Wilder among others, but Devin was definitely among that when I think about entering into a new dawn, right? I don't think that what we'll see of May 2nd will be what we assume. Okay? Devin, through unthinkable challenges and unshakable belief in himself and in the people, of course, who support him, has shed a lot of skin, right? I think that through this whole process of what we know of the turbulence of the past year, and even beyond that, has allowed Devin and forced Devin to shed skin. I don't necessarily feel that the young man that we knew before is what remains now. Okay. And that's a good thing, right? Remember when I spoke about changeability and fluidity? That's a good thing, right? The ability to change. And I think that there is a change within Devin Haney that we are going to see. I think that what he's gone through has quite possibly taught him a valuable lesson. At least I am hopeful of that. In patience, in self-understanding, in obduracy, okay, convalescence even, the ability to heal, all types of things, okay? You guys, some skin is meant to be shed, okay? I think that stands, to be a cycle of renewal for Devin, a dawning for him to enter into this new place and to claim it with both hands. And with his reassuming of stature, let's say, among the boxing world, of course, because he is coming off of a controversy. He is coming off of what a lot of people consider to be his dethroning, right? So that in the reassuming of his stature among the boxing world, I'm convinced that all of the sport, through his change, I'm convinced that all of the sport stands to benefit from the new substrata that he lays. I think all of boxing will be able to benefit from that. And I think that all of boxing benefits from the ability of fighters to be fluid, to be adaptable. Everybody benefits from that. Everyone stands to benefit from that because it makes the sportsmen better. It makes their quality of life better, their boxing abilities better. When they learn, we learn. When they rise, we rise. We get better and bigger fights of them. We see more exceptional displays of boxing when they grow. Do we not? So that Devin's growth stands to change the sport for the better. Devin's growth, Shakur's growth, all these people's growth stands to better the sport as a whole. Facts or no? I think it's a quite cogent argument to make that Devin Haney is the future of boxing. Okay? He is young. He's a young man. Okay? Very young man. He is still making and remaking himself. And he stands to do so for a long time compared to, say, your people like your Bud Crawfords and everybody else, right? Who are up in age. Devin Haney has ample space to make and recreate himself. That's for the betterment of the sport. So that I don't understand why people put down his growth. People are afraid of his renewal. Shouldn't you be supporting that? Because he is going to carry the sport forward. Isn't that the point? The foundation that he set out on laying is something that can carry boxing forward into the next era. And it already is doing that. Okay? After your Buds are gone, after your Canelo is gone, after your Earls are gone, and your Charlos and all the people that we love, Devin Haney is still going to be here. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because he is still young. He has an ample amount of time to do the work and to create his own standards. That's a powerful position to hold. And I think it's part of the reason why, people find him to be a menace. People, of course, who are not of a high frequency. There's a fear that they hold in that position that he holds and claims. Right? Very powerful position. And that goes for all of the young fighters. I think that the other young brothers around him, however, haven't realized that power that they hold within themselves. I don't think they've realized that yet. And so they fall behind and they get caught up in all types of traps of, doing it for the bag and, whatever, fad is happening at the moment. They haven't realized that the legacy is the relevance. It's not the 5-minute quick fad. The relevance is the legacy. So when you cease to create that, you seize all relevance because nobody was going to give a fuck about you in 15 minutes. The legacy route always pays off. I don't know why people have begun to get away from the path of that. Okay? The legacy is the lifeline. We don't salute the giants like Foreman and Ali and, Lewis and all these other greats that we can name because of what they wore or what they drove or anything like that. It's the meaning. It's the meaning that they gave. Okay? It's the identity that they assumed for the sport. They gave a face and a definition to their respective eras. Each one of the greats that we can name, they all gave a defining personality and a heart to their era. They defined it. They identified that and held that up in their eras. That's what they did. That's what makes them great. That's what makes them memorable. And they will always be remembered and revered for that. Devin is the only active young fighter right now, in my view, who's picked up that torch and dared to carry it forward. I can't say it's something that he thinks about premeditatedly or deliberately, but it's definitely something in him, in his spirit, that resonates in that place, that resonates with that value, the old school mentality, if you will. The one that says, yes, I'm going to come back. Yes, I'm going to face challenges. Hey, I might come up short, but I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And I'm doing it my way. And I haven't forgotten the greats who did it before me. You know what I mean? So that it's a continuation of a dialogue between past and present and future. That is the dawn. That's what dawn is, right? Doesn't the dawn do the same thing? It carries over the yesterday. It doesn't forget about yesterday, but it enters bravely into a new day. That's the dawn that I'm talking about, the spirit of dawn and the dawning of oneself. That's what I am looking for. That's what I salute in people like Devin Haney, right? And it's beautiful to watch. I wanted to speak briefly about that because I think it's always imperative to put Devin Haney into proper context. We get so much fluff and filibustering about him and what he means to the sport, right? People like to bypass that, just like I had mentioned about Wilder earlier. Bypassing the significance of what these brothers mean in real time when they are creating that path for themselves in real time. We don't have to wait until they're, retired or passed away, to appreciate the foreground that they are laying. We need to respect it now. We need to put respect on it now, and support them while they are laying the grounds. It's important for us to do that. Speaking of laying of grounds, you guys, I think this is going to be the final topic, but I think I would be remiss to not mention this because this is probably one of the biggest stories of the week. Let me take a sip of my tea. Hold on. You guys, this is one of the biggest stories of the week. I really was just minding my own little business, okay, a few days ago. I really was minding my own business. I wasn't looking for no drama. Your girl Sugar Free was not on no smoke time, okay? I really was just chilling. I was scrolling on my Twitter, minding my own goddamn business. I promise you, I was not looking for smoke. I was not, trying to, none of that. I wasn't rah-rah, all right? I had quelled my fire. My fire was taking a nice little rest, okay? Because I always got the fire on deck, okay? Always beside me, always on TV time. But this at this moment, I was really chilling. You feel me? The goddess was chilling. But suddenly, as I was scrolling some days ago, I came across a clip of an interview that showed, that showed Terrence Bud Crawford in a recent interview talking. And I'm like, what is this? Oh, it's Bud. Okay, hey, Bud. You know what I'm saying? I rocks with Bud. Bud, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Right? So I motherfucking clicked the interview. That's the, you know what I'm saying? I'm on Twitter. All right, let me see what he's talking about. Let me see what the king is talking about. Okay? You guys. I listened to that damn segment. And it seemed that the universe said, "Oh no, Sugar Free, baby girl, we need that fire. I know you put the fire down for the evening, but girl, we gonna need you. We gonna need you to resurrect the flame real quick and speak about this." I'm like, what in the hell? What is going on here? Now, oh God, you guys. The host got on a topic. And it's a long interview, right? There's a clip that was surfacing around on social media that got to this particular segment. But this was I want to say a 45-minute plus interview, okay? With Terrence Crawford, as many of you may have seen by now. The host got onto a particular topic towards the end of this interview regarding what it's like, basically, to, get to a point where you put so much work into accomplishing something, an aim, a target, right? You put all this work in only to get to that target that you've been working so aimlessly, so steadfastly, I should say, to achieve, right? You put all that work in and then you claim it, and it turns out to be a much easier feat than you thought it was, that you thought it was going to be, right? Going into it, right? So, of course, in the conversation with the host, he is alluding to the Spence fight. That's what the man is talking about, right? He wanted to put some vague little cloak and cloud over it, but what he was alluding to was the Spence fight. Crawford goes on to state that he has already, envisioned, in the lead up to that fight, how things would materialize. And it was, it was cool. So basically he was talking about, visualization, if you will, manifestation. Oh, I had envisioned, that things would turn out the way that they would, of course, meaning that he would be victorious, so forth and so on. Right. How things would play out before the fight even really was a reality. He then adds how he was a fan of Earl Spence, right? And how he followed Earl Spence, even through the amateurs, the Olympics, right? So that he's giving credence to EJ in this moment. But what's odd here is that, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, even before we get to the segment where he goes off the rails. But what was odd to me instantly was that Bud is still very much salty at Earl Spence. That's the only way I know how to put it, you guys. Okay, he's still very much salty at Earl Spence. It's a perplexing thing to me, you guys. It really is. He's still salty at Spence. Okay, that was made evident to me. He went into, and obviously he proved that as the conversation continued forward. He went into how once he moved up in weight and entered into the 147 division, he expressed some, discontent with the fact that at that time there were still talks going around that he hadn't fought anyone, right? He didn't like the conversations at that time around how people were speculating that he hadn't fought anyone, basically hadn't proved himself. And I guess essentially he didn't like that the notion suggested that he'd have to prove himself by earning a fight with EJ. Right? He didn't like that. People were positing, okay, well, you haven't fought anybody up until this point. Yes, you made your way into 147, but you're only going to be a made man when you fight EJ. He didn't like these stipulations. But the crazy thing to me was, why is Bud still carrying this type of animosity about this? Who gives a motherfuck what they felt that you had to prove at that time when you were coming into 47? Didn't you ultimately get the fight with EJ and prove yourself? What are you still carrying salt for, sir? Additionally, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but wasn't the fruition of that Spence fight ultimately due to the fact that it was Spence who applied all the necessary pressure to make that fight happen. So that it's safe to say that EJ created the terms and the system that would allow you to prove yourself supreme at 147. Why are you salty at the man who made it possible for you to be a made man? Why is he still salty? Errol Spence did everything in his power to make that fight. Facts or no? Am I tripping? Or is that the reality? I just don't understand what the salt is. He got the fight with EJ. EJ did everything that he could to make it a reality. What's good here? Right? The fruition of this fight was solely and totally due to the fact that EJ was adamant about making it happen, vehement about making that fight happen. Even despite all of the rumblings and the political talks and suggestions advising EJ to not make that fight, EJ still persisted and insisted that the fight get done. Okay? That was all EJ. Had he not applied a sense of obduracy or resolve or unyieldingness, that fight would have perished in thin air. That fight would have quickly dissipated and not been made. How are you so salty at EJ? He gave you what you needed, which was the validation, which was the fight in order for you to prove yourself. I don't get what this begrudging bitterness is that this man is holding on to when it comes to Errol Spence Jr. I couldn't help but notice that immediately. Immediately. Who gives a damn? Yes, Bud. People largely felt that you had to earn your share at that time in order to step in the ring with EJ. Yes, you had to do that. EJ is the one who conquered champion after motherfucking champion after motherfucking champion in that division. He was the man. He was the king of the hill. Yes, you had to prove yourself before him. Yes, you had to do that. Those stipulations were going to be put on you by the boxing world who was looking on. You know what I'm saying? Who is waiting in anticipation for that fight to happen, but who know nonetheless that you got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to show and prove because there's somebody reigning dominant here in this place. You can't just walk in and not have to prove yourself. What is this man thinking? You had to put respect on EJ's name. Yes. What the fuck is the problem? You had to do that. I don't get it. And when you did, you know, he when you proved your stature, you fought who you fought, you know what I'm saying? You got to the point where you were going to stand in front of him. He went above and beyond to give you the battle that you were looking for and the battle that the whole boxing world was asking for. For what, 5 years in anticipation for? He gave it to you. He gave it to us. He gave it to himself. What are you crying for? What is he salty for? Very weird. Now, the atrocity continues in Bud's following statement, right? After talking about, I'm a fan of Spence, you know, amateurs. I followed him. I'm a fan of him. I like him, blah, blah, blah. Atrocity continues where he posits that you can't make this stuff up, you guys. He stated that he is an all-time great. Right? That's one thing, right? Nothing wrong with him considering himself that. But he says that Errol Spence is not a Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Famer and a great. Errol Spence is not. This man's words. He says, quote, I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. Do you hear this fallacy? The host asks, do you think Spence will be in the Hall of Fame? And Crawford dismissingly says, with his face all twisted up and grimacing, he says, quote, right now? No. How? He fought in one division. He unified the belts. You know, he had 3. Well, what I'm saying is, you know, they already called him a weight bully. You know, he beat Kell Brook coming off a loss, you know, coming off an eye injury. He beat Sean Porter So he's going through the list, and in real time, he's also catching himself. Then he goes on to say, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him or things like that, but I honestly don't know if he'll make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he's got right now. Child. You know, every time I try to give Bud Crawford, an inch, because I do, he is a fighter that, I give respect to, he has been number one on my pound for pound list. He is a pound for pound fighter for me, no doubt. There is no denying that. There is no problem with asserting that. You know what I'm saying? But he just fumbles the ball every time. Every time I have him up a level, he regresses 3 levels to me because of his mindset. I don't know what the hell is in this man's, mind. I don't know how he's computing things. I don't know how what perspective he's giving. He just is absolutely deluded to me. Real talk, if I'm going to keep it a buck. When it comes to a lot of things. To sit there and speak about the greatest opponent, the most notable opponent, the most accomplished opponent that you have ever entered the ring with in your career up until this point. The fact that you could sit there and say such a thing is beyond baffling, beyond dumbfounding. I just can't even wrap my mind around it, you guys. Everything that we acclaim Bud to be, a pound for pound fighter, one of the best in the sport, king of the hill, whatever have you, is all due to the fact that he got in the ring with and defeated Earl Spence Jr. That is what all of this accreditation is riding on. It is for no other reason than that he is called the pound for pound number 1 in the world. It is because of that and nothing else. What is this man talking about? Let's not be conveniently forgetful here. When was he the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world prior to fighting and defeating EJ? Somebody explicate this to me ASAP. I need to know. Was he the pound for pound king when he fought in Dongo? Huh? Was he considered the pound for pound king when he faced Ava goddamn Nisian? Moreover, the goal of this man to sit there and screw up his face as if he didn't eat all the leftovers that AJ done tossed through before he got to him. All of his most notable names outside of facing EJ at 47 were people who EJ already walked through. Excuse me? If you're going to keep it a buck. If EJ fought and beat Kell Brook in his own backyard off of a quote unquote eye injury, right? As he tried to posit, what the fuck version of Kell Brook did he beat and want credit for when he faced him? Make it make sense to me, you guys. EJ beat a Kell Brook that was a champion, a celebrated champion. EJ grabbed the strap off of this man's waist. What version did you get? Because you certainly want to be credited for your Kell Brook win. What's astounding to me is the goal, you guys. I just cannot get beyond the goal. It's the goal that's just like, what the fuck is this man doing? What is he saying? The insouciance with which this man sits there, gasconating, boasting, bragging about being a Hall of Famer while dismissing the man who made that possible for you? I mean, you just really can't make this stuff up. The man who gave him the biggest payday of his life up until that point, the biggest credential of his life up until that point. How many fighters can say that they are, 3 belt holding champions? There isn't a long list of men who can say that, even currently, you guys. Okay? If EJ isn't a Hall of Famer, who the fuck is? Who's the Hall of Famer on Bud's resume, you guys? Porter? We could say that. That's a viable argument. Let me see something here, though. Didn't EJ beat the fuck out of Porter before Bud got to him? Oh, and mind you, wasn't Porter a champion when he defeated him? Did he not take the strap off of Porter? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Additionally, does this man not know that he is shitting? I mean, he's shitting on his own worth and valor as a fighter. Does he not know that? How is he not cognizant of what he is saying? He doesn't know that he's shitting on his own valor and esteem as a fighter by trying to shit on EJ? If EJ was your biggest competition to date, what the fuck does that make you? If that's the biggest name that you beheaded. I mean, were you not the little nigga that everybody remembers who was light in the ass? According to, EJ at that time, you light in the ass. Weren't you the one that was starving and fiending to prove yourself alongside EJ begging for a fight? How quickly we forget. If he wasn't shit, what the fuck were you begging him for? For a fight. Oh, let's bet $1 million. Let's bet $1 million. Y'all remember that, infamous interaction that they had? If he wasn't shit, why were you riding his coattails? Why were you calling for smoke with him? Why were you looking for validation through him? He don't know that he's shitting on his own esteem and acclaim. I don't know if the intelligence is, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on with that man. But the computer isn't computing, obviously, because he is speaking before he is thinking. EJ grabbed 3 of the straps in the 147 division, you guys. He took those belts, each of them, off of the waist of 3 different men. 3 different kings, 3 different champions, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Whose name is this man playing with? If EJ wasn't shit, if EJ wasn't a great giant, why the fuck was Crawford going on a whole goddamn celebration victory tour for a year straight? Can somebody explain this to me? Y'all know what I'm talking about. The man went on a goddamn victory tour off of the back of that EJ fight. Man had a motherfucking 40-day, 40-night parade for a whole year straight. Okay? Nigga went on he wanted to be on a box of Wheaties. He wanted to be on the cover of motherfucking Time magazine. He done sat on Oprah's couch. He done, went on Funk Flex and did motherfucking 5 Fingers of Death. Nigga was every goddamn where. You hear me? Good Morning to goddamn America. What's popping? I mean, shit. You sure was celebrating the fuck out of that goddamn victory for fighting a nobody. That's a hell of a goddamn lot of celebrating for defeating a nigga with no goddamn accolades. I didn't see you celebrating after you defeated no damn Madrimov, that's for sure. Did you have a celebration tour and a victory lap around the world for defeating Madrimov? Madrimov, mind you, the fighter that he said he'd do bigger numbers with than Earl when that fight was about to be taking place. Y'all remember that? In the build up to the Madrimov fight on that Riyadh card that was in LA? Oh, this fight is going to do bigger numbers than even with the Earl fight. Y'all remember? That's the Madrimov. Why the fuck you wasn't on a celebration tour with his ass then if he was the bigger fight? The Madrimov with 11 fights and 1 belt? Somebody get this man out my face. He's wildin'. Okay? Crawford has a hard time, you guys, accepting the fact that he is a made man by way of all of the accreditation, all of the prominence that EJ held. It is because he superseded EJ in all of that prominence that he has been made the pound for pound #1 king. He wants to bypass the reality of that. His ego is too, smushed up his goddamn asshole for whatever reason. He got his head far up his goddamn ass for whatever reason when it comes to EJ. It's crazy. It's weird. It's demented. And it's uncalled for. EJ ain't thinking about that, man. He ain't going around talking about your ass. Only thing EJ said about you is let's run it back. And you hold ass the fuck far away from him to avoid that. So it is what it is. Why is Bud even mentioning Earl's name? It's so confusing on every level. Why are you even, if you're not going to fight him, you know what I'm saying? What are we even talking about? What are we even talking about? Are you going to fight him? You going to give him that rematch? All right, it makes sense. Talk your shit. If you're not going to handle the business with him, what are we doing? What are you doing other than sitting on the couch being a chatty patty right now? And making yourself look so stupid for shooting down your own star. It's crazy. You're still using EJ's name. How funny is that, you guys? Could it be that he's still using EJ's name to sell and garner a sense of relevance, even ahead of a fight with somebody who is supposed to be the face of boxing and Canelo Alvarez? You're still harping off of the name of EJ? Huh? You're still citing EJ for a sense of acclaim and attention for yourself? Aren't you fighting the man? Talking about Canelo isn't enough? You got to bring up EJ? You got to bring up the man who is, quote unquote, not a Hall of Famer according to you? Huh? Isn't Canelo the Mexican? Because according to Bud, black folks only have selling power when it comes to being face to face with a Mexican. Those were his words also in that interview. Oh, the biggest fights in history are when black people fight the Mexicans. Really? Is that the only way to make the biggest fights as a black man? Is to fight somebody non-black? So do you hear this man? The delusion is wild to me. He's constantly holding up the tropes that do nothing but hinder the esteem and credence of black elite males in the sport. And this is why, I posit that the media happily accepts his presence, because they know damn well that they can get that out of him, but they most certainly know that they could never have EJ talking like that at any particular point. They know that they could never have EJ denote that black men have no selling power or value amongst themselves. They'd never have EJ, calling his fight with Bud Crawford a quote unquote urban fight. Oh, this is for the blacks looking ass. You can pay EJ to say some shit like that. Bud will do that shit for free. As he's proven. It's absolutely disgraceful, what this man spewed within that interview. Disgraceful. I think I'll just land it there, because if I go further, shit, we'll be here all goddamn day. And, it's just so much to unpack about that mentality. And the reality of what it was that he was saying in so many words within the things that he blatantly said and within the undertones of what was stated in that interview. Absolutely disgraceful on every level. What did you guys think about that interview? I would love to know. Because real talk, I was going to do a separate, hold on. Let me turn on my little light, you guys. Hold on. Yeah. I was going to do a separate, its own, video in the week, but there was just so much to there was just so much that I wanted to touch on. Like I said, I wanted to make a composite of all of these things touching on the theme of, you know, a sense of entering into a space and the claiming of space and what that means and the formulating of one's identity and the solidifying of one's path in entering a new dawn and claiming territory and things like that. All these dynamics kind of fit within each other. So I kind of saved it for this live, but I was definitely going to do, a separate commentary on this, but I'd love to know your thoughts about this. What was you guys' initial reaction, upon hearing this interview? I was just flabbergasted, you guys. Flabbergasted. I'm like, this man cannot be real. I was just sitting in my seat like, what? What the fuck did I just walk into? What is this salt that this man is holding for EJ? Salute to you, Mr. Jannard Hill. Thank you for joining. I don't believe I've seen you in the chat before, but salute to you. Thank you for joining. He says, I strongly disagree with Bud. Earl Spence is a 3-time champion. Earl should be in the top 5 or 6 champions that became multiple champion with Usyk, AJ Canelo, and Terrence Crawford. 100% agree with you, Mr. Jannard, for sure. Salute to the King, Jason Williams in the building. Nice to see you. My sister Shaquille says, he's not revered enough. He doesn't like that EJ is still a bigger name. 100%. That's absolutely a factor as well, beautiful sister. Okay, you are speaking facts, beautiful sis. 100%. You know what I'm saying? He knows that, he has to fight, I don't know what he's assuming, but he knows that if EJ were to return to the ring right now, if he were to make an announcement right now, people would gather and corral in anticipation around the fight. People will be anxious to see what it is that EJ is going to do. He will pack out whatever house or venue that he, holds the, showcase at. Everybody was going to be lined up to see what it is that EJ is going to be doing. People who are longtime fans, people who I guess have questions and want to see, how he will look, of course, upon his return. All types of things are at place here. But nonetheless, he will garner a significant amount of fans. The fans that have always been rocking with him and supporting him heavily. You know what I'm saying? EJ is certainly one of the, biggest draws in the sport of the last several years. You got to put EJ in that category among the people who are considered to be draws in the sport. 100%. And he probably is salty about that. I have no doubt about that. Because were the numbers with Madrimov ever released, you guys? I mean, let's keep it a buck. What the fuck did Madrimov do? What was that fight bill looking like? What was the, income on that? What did that garner? What was the viewership? We heard nothing about that. And nobody asked questions. Nobody posed any inquiry into getting that information. Yet he is talking about, oh yeah, that's going to be way bigger than the Spence fight. Get out of my face. Exactly, King Stephen, the absolute audacity. Crazy. Let's see here. Oh, salute to you, Brandon. Nice to see you. If you're still in the building, I kind of scrolled a little bit up a little bit, but salute to you if you're in the building. Nice to see you. Yes, King Stephen, no self-awareness. 100%. Crazy. The King and the Coach Hudson says, done got Sugar fired up. I mean, I was beside myself. I was absolutely beside myself watching that interview, you guys. Right, exactly, Earl Ferry. He says, guess Rumble and the Jumble wasn't a big fight. Okay, please talk to this man because he needs some goddamn education. He out here talking and not thinking about a motherfucking thing he's saying. And those motherfucking interviews are just sitting there. Oh, he's right. Oh, yeah, Earl, oh. They tried to make little interjections here and there, but they just sat there for the most part and let that man talk all that garbage. No, you can't talk like this. You cannot sit up here talking this craziness. If you say that the fuck about EJ, what are you going to tell me? That Avenesian was a motherfucking top 3 pound for pound greatest of all goddamn time? Oh my God. It just destroys your entire existence as a boxer if you're shitting on EJ. There is nobody more supreme than EJ up until this point. The Canelo fight hasn't happened yet, so I can't include Canelo. Up until this very point, EJ is the most supreme fighter. Proven. Not speculation. The man is out of his mind, you guys. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it. But I think that's all for me today, you guys. I don't think, I think I made the points clear. There's no need to further expound upon that. Bud Crawford is just, I don't know what dawning he's trying to walk into. He's trying to, apparently, get his bag. I think in that interview, he also mentioned, I could fight the likes of a Virgil Ortiz or whatever for a quick little penny. You should hear how he's just sitting there, saying this. I could fight a Virgil Ortiz for a quick little penny, or whoever else he mentioned at 54. But, I want something bigger. Yeah, nigga, a paycheck. A paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Whatever he does, is his own business. Be well to him. May he do or set out to do whatever it is that he intends to do. But that's exactly the reason why I've never fully wrapped around Bud Crawford, even though I support him. I kind of support him from the sidelines. I'm not front and center with Bud Crawford the way that I am a Devin Haney or a Shakur Stevenson or whoever else that we could name. I'm front and center with those fighters. I'm not front and center with Bud Crawford. He is, oh my goodness. I just can't with him sometimes. Sometimes he's straight, but he just always manages to fumble the ball. And I just don't understand it. And so it prohibits me from really claiming a true level of solidarity with him, even though, like I said, I support him and have no problem seeing his progress in the sport or whatever. I can't do it with that brother. The character is just completely flawed. So yeah, I guess I will leave it there for now, you guys. If you guys don't have anything else to add, or if you don't have any questions or any other points that you felt the need to discuss, I think I will end here. Now, of course, hold on, let me just pass through here, because I know I was going on a tangent, you guys, for a particular moment. We have some super chats. Salute. Before I forget, I got to salute my people who show respect to the channel. Okay. I cannot bypass you guys. Salute to the King Pizzo for his beautiful super chat. He says, peace and salute, Queen. Thank you so much, King. And thank you for joining this evening. I really do appreciate you. I really do. Oh my goodness. We have Glenn Mickens in the super chat earlier. Thank you so much to the King, Glenn Mickens. Oh my goodness. We had Glenn Mickens twice in the super chat today. Thank you, and thank you for joining. Excuse me, hold up. Glenn Mickens said, put respect on my name. I'm tripling up in this bitch. Okay? Salute to you, King. If you're still in the building, thank you so much. I see that was a ways up. I kind of missed the super chats. Thank you to everybody who showed up. Thank you to my members, the lovely King and my twin, Daryl. Thank you to my beautiful sister, Chiquila. Thank you to the beautiful, great Mike, the King Bean Pro, and all of my members who stand 10 toes with your girl Sugar Free, who support the channel through and through. Salute to anybody who passed through this evening. And my beautiful sister Cameron, another one of my members, and my sister who I rock with very heavily. Thank you so much, beautiful sis, for joining. Salute. I cannot bypass this name, of mention, which is the beautiful King Champside, my brother, my King. Salute to you, King. Thank you so much for blessing the channel with your support today, and just your overall, support for what it is that we're doing on this side. Thank you so much, King. I appreciate you. Salute to everybody in the building, Coach Hudson, all my real ones, all of my real ones. I can run the gamut. King Vonnie, King Steven, X, all of y'all. I really appreciate you guys. It's always a wonderful thing to come here and talk some boxing with you guys. I may drop some content during the week, so keep an eye out for that. Of course, it depends on if I find, I only want to speak on what's notable to me. So if I don't find anything that moves me, I'll kind of not choose to speak about it at that particular moment. Sometimes I'll save it for a live. But all in all, definitely check for me in the community page. Make sure you guys hit the like button. I'm trying to get better at remembering to tell you guys that. Hit the like button. Definitely share the content if you found this discussion valuable today. And I hope you guys have a beautiful and wonderful week ahead. And I will see you very soon on the next one. Peace and infinite love to my people.